But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody's checking it out.
With a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, almost the direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
Doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
All right, good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's up? This show's live. We get together Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and we talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about, and 7 p.m. Pacific is the time we begin. And of course, well, what are those things, you may ask? I'll tell you. Those things are aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. And of course, well, we are streaming. We do the show live to include you. That's part of the whole deal. That's why we've always done it live. It's why it's become less of a show, more of a conversation, because, well, we get together and talk about things. And it's a pretty simple premise. We get together, we talk about some of that weird stuff I mentioned just previously there, and we take your phone calls and kind of get together and kick ideas around and consider whether all these strange, weird ideas are actually really worthy of a conversation. And so I think that even if you live in the peripheral of the conversation of whether it's worthy, I think it's still worthy of a conversation. Is this stuff real? Why do people believe this? Let's consider the possibilities and do a lot of drinking the maybe juice. That's what I like to call it. That's what we call it on this show. The maybe juice itself simply means that we just get together and talk about weird stuff. And it's okay. Remember, part of the whole premise here is it's okay to be wrong. It's one of those things where it just is. It's okay to be wrong. And we're doing a lot of that because, you know, it's also part of being right. And that's how these conversations go. So, all right. So we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter. I was trying to find some more platforms to stream on today. It seems there's a bunch of weird ones, gaming platforms and whatnot. I guess you can stream on Steam and LinkedIn and all kinds of stuff. So maybe we'll try that in the future. I have no idea. But for the time being, it's Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter. And of course, we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And if you want to be part of the show tonight, you want to be part of this conversation, just give us a call. Simple as this, 702-957-1037. That's 957-1037. You can click the Discord link down below at troubledminds.org. Actually, it'll be on top, not down below. So when you go to the website, on the very top, you'll see Listen Live, you'll see the phone number, and you'll see a Discord link. Those are the three things you need mostly. And if you want to join the Discord, just click that link. You'll get a direct invite, and you could come hang out and be on the Discord with us. And yeah, so that's what's going on. That's what's happening with this, and that's what we're doing. And tonight, well, of course, tonight, what are we doing tonight? Last night, actually, we had a special Halloween stream, and that was a lot of fun. We had a lot of interaction, a lot of people hanging out, giving us their takes in the chat, a lot of fantastic phone calls, and just kind of doing what we do, right? Which is having a conversation. And so again, I want to make sure that everybody understands that the premise is the conversation. It's not about who's right and who's wrong. It's not about agreeing or disagreeing. It's about considering, pausing your perception of the world and maybe considering a different version for just a moment, for just an evening, right? That's really what it's about. We're not trying to get into an argument or teach anybody anything other than to maybe suspend your disbelief for just a moment and consider these things as possibly being true. And that's it. It's as simple as that, right? It's not no harm, no foul sort of situation. I mean, it is no harm, no foul, though our detractors would say otherwise, but I don't think so. I do believe we have the right to be wrong, and that means considering things that may or may not be accurate or correct, and that's what we do. So anyway, if you want to be part of the show, you guys know what to do. And so tonight I was going through the news as I usually do. As you guys know, one of my my hobbies, as it were, is looking through news cycles and sort of trying to determine where it turns, meaning it's the point where the government or where the militaries or whoever it is that controls these news cycles, where they actually take over. And so if there's some things in the news cycles that are super anti-government, things change quickly, right? And so that's not by accident. It's not by accident. So it's one of my hobbies to kind of keep an eye on that and try and just for games, just for like a brain puzzle sort of challenge to try and determine when a news cycle turns over, what they're dropping from the previous news cycle and starting on the next, because they want to control what we think as part of the conversation, right? So there we go. Anyway, that's what's up and that's what's going on, and that's what we do here. So one more time, you want to be part of the show, it's 702-957-1037. I see you guys on Rockfin and reading all the chat, and see you guys everywhere else. So thank you very much for hanging out with us tonight. But okay, so I saw this article as going through the news cycle there. As I just described, there was this article. Now, I thought this was pretty peculiar, and it's actually not a bad way to start a conversation. And as you guys know me, that's what I like to do, kind of pick out an article and really kind of dig down and look into some of the, more esoteric ways of looking at this stuff, which is kind of cool, if you ask me. I think it makes for good food for thought sort of situation. So this one is from Business Insider or insider.com. And a Reddit user found a black hole, quote, black hole on Google Maps, and users couldn't figure out what it was. And there you go. You've got the photograph. I'll actually make the photograph right there full screen if you want to see it. As always, all the links to that you saw where I get the information from tonight are down below. As always, you can always find them on YouTube. I put them there. And for obvious purposes, I want you to be able to track down the things I'm saying and go look at these things and see that I'm not just totally making up stuff out of the blue. These are things that have been talked about. These are old theories, and that's part of what we do here. So anyway, what this is all about is I don't know. So if you look at this photograph, it appears to be straight from a satellite image from Google Maps, and it does have what looks like maybe a triangular-shaped island of sorts. Clearly out there in the ocean, you can see the ocean around this thing. But then there's this triangular-shaped island, it looks like, but then there's a huge hole in the middle of it, like a gigantic black hole. It looks like a black hole, like a triangular-shaped black hole in the middle of this island, right? And of course, right, so clearly, obviously, like I said, this is the question show, not the answer show, and we're here to have a good time, not to just put this to bed and say, speculate on what it. This is what we could do. Just for instance, we could say, look at this photograph. Doesn't this look like it might be a glitch in the Google Maps reporting? And then all right, maybe, and then the show's over, right? That's not what we're here to do. We're here to, consider all the possibilities, no matter how crazy they are, because, well, maybe juice. So anyway, yeah, I mean, clearly you could say this is some sort of Google Maps glitch. You could say this is, some people have speculated that it's possibly maybe a military base that's been redacted or kind of blacked out from the Google Maps itself. But it does look strange. It's definitely one of those spots that looks like a triangular type island, and it looks as if it's been completely either digitally redacted or as if, yes, maybe there's a black hole there, like literally on top of this island. So let's take a look at this article and read just a little bit and keep on rolling with this. Yeah, so a Reddit user found a black hole on Google Maps. Users couldn't figure out what it was. There's your photograph. Let's see. For a small group of curious people, here we go. It's a source of mysteries talking about Google Maps. If you look hard enough, you can find strange images that appear to conceal something beyond reality. Or they may just be signs that Google Maps isn't working correctly. Exactly like we just said. Maybe, maybe not, right? That's fine. Whatever the truth is, the debate it provokes is usually fun and stimulating. This is from Insider.com, and I couldn't agree more. I think that's exactly what this is about, having a fun conversation. So, this is precisely what happened when a Reddit user appeared to find a black hole in the middle of the ocean while using Google Maps. And if you look at the Reddit thread, it says, here's the actual Reddit thread where he posted this, and the headline is hilarious. It says, just to keep it radio friendly, "What the F? This looks nothing like an island," is what he wrote on the head. I mean, that's how you write a headline, guys, right? You gotta drop some F-bombs in there, right? I mean, what the F is this? This looks nothing like an island. And there's your Reddit thread. So I'm going to post this if you guys want to check it out. It's one of those things where people are having a conversation on Reddit about this and trying to figure out what's going on. And as usual, right, we're gonna do sipping some maybe juice, and then we'll start shotgunning the maybe juice, and then we'll get us to a spot where maybe we have a fun conversation surrounding it, including, well, what could this be? Is this, as they describe, a black hole of sorts? Is this some sort of portal to, the hollow earth, which maybe, actually, definitely we're going to talk about that tonight, and a bunch of this stuff, right? And it's I don't know. Like this is kind of one of those things. So what do you think? So it again opens my mind and begs some questions. All right, and so those questions on my mind tonight are these. So what do you think Google Earth or Google Maps or whoever it is, the satellite image providers that show us the information, on Google or Apple Maps or wherever it comes from, what do you think they do with like a top secret military base? Do you think they redact that information and kind of scrub it out, blur it from us seeing it? Because, of course, then you're making like classified information sort of public information, right? So I don't know. With that in mind, that's one of the questions. Do you think that they do remove information from the maps? Not just military bases, let's say anomalous spots on the Earth itself. And so that's what I'm thinking tonight. Do you think that's a possibility? And if so, how much do you think goes on with that censorship, with that amount of censorship? Because clearly, I think anybody here in the sort of quasi-conspiracy community would be able to say, yeah, I mean, surely there's some sort of shenanigans going on. They're not going to show you everything, right? I mean, they couldn't. They just couldn't tell you what was happening with the let's say Area 51 before it became a public place, back when 1989 when Bob Lazar came out and said, hey, there's a base right there and they fly UFOs out of it, right? S4, actually, if we're being completely accurate. But anyway, so what do you think? So clearly 1989, we didn't have Google Maps back then, but they certainly had satellites that were flying around taking photographs from way up in space. They had spy planes then, the SR-71, famously snapping pictures from way the heck up there. So I don't know, like how much of this do you think they redact from just public information? And if it is like let's say this is sort of a hidden military base, or maybe it is. Maybe some people have suggested it's sort of a UFO or, maybe a hidden alien base or things like this. I don't know. I don't know exactly what the size of this is. It's from Google Maps. So this thing is sizable enough to show up. And so it's definitely like the size of a small island. This isn't really super tiny. So anyway, we'll read a little bit more from this, but that's sort of the first thing on my mind tonight. How much do you think gets redacted from, let's say, satellite images on Google Earth and similar platforms? They're not the only satellite Earth imager in the game, so all of those competitors as well. How much do you think it's redacted for, let's say, national security purposes and the rest of that? But then, on top of that, it's got me thinking, right? So if this is a portal of such, or some sort of maybe opening into the Earth itself, it reminded me of a theory. And, well, that theory is called Hollow Earth. Hollow Earth. And so, and Agarth, and there's some pretty interesting stories that kind of go along with that line of thinking. So we're going to talk about that tonight. And what do you think about those theories? Do you believe that the Earth could be hollow, that there could be an actual Earth, sort of a different Earth inside, underneath the crust, and there's like a whole different civilization that lives underneath, like Agarth is one of the names, and there's some other theories around this, and that's what I'm thinking about tonight. That's what we're talking about. How true or accurate do you think this is? And even if it's like just mildly accurate, how large a scale? Let's say you found a let's say you found some entrance to like a huge cave system, which has been found in the past, and they have trouble dating them because you can't exactly tell, when those the rocks were carved out, sort of thing, through carbon dating. So they have some trouble dating these things. But let's say you did find some kind of underground base, right? But then how large or widespread do you think those are? Have they been covered up? Are they all over the Earth? We just haven't refound them yet? Or do you think it's larger than that? Do you think this hollow Earth theory goes deeper and deeper, as it were, into, well, an entire inside the Earth sort of situation? And that's what's on my mind tonight. Like I said, this is not the answer show, it's the question show, and so we just talk about these things to consider those possibilities, and that's what's going on here. Yeah, KD, I copy you that in the chat. I'll try and get some information here. I think this guy photoshopped it out. He didn't give us the exact coordinates, so I wasn't able to look it up. But here we go. Early suggestions said the island could be a secret military base. All right. So, yeah, that could be, right? Somebody else commented, looks censored for some reason, this part of the hole in the island, or whatever this happens to be. Somebody else says, my first thought was that it's censored. Jazz like log 709 replied, it wouldn't make sense for a natural formation to be black like that in such a shallow, small atoll/island. Google often, the article continues, Google often blurs out sensitive sites such as military bases or prison yards, Live Science reported, which we'll look at in just a sec. It does this in order to avoid disclosing information about their location and structure. Okay, all right, that's fine, right? Many theories around the black spot focused on trying to explain the blackness of the image. Somebody said this, could maybe be an underground volcano, which is what causes the blackness, assuming it isn't a hole. Most likely igneous rock, the Professor 64 said. Some users took the opportunity to poke fun at the post, suggesting that it might be the island from the TV show Lost. Lost. Anybody seen that? I've never seen the whole Lost. I've seen like an episode here or there, and it was a little bit. It was all right, I guess, from a small sample standpoint. I don't know what drew people in like crazy, but all right, that's cool. Maybe this is the island from Lost. And one more time, if you guys are looking at the stream, that's what this image looks like. Okay, there's an island. It's small. It's in shallow water, they say, and it apparently looks like it has no island surface visible. It's mostly blacked out. What appears to be literally like a triangle-shaped sort of black hole. So, yeah, all right. Then let's see. What else do we got? All right, these people may be disappointed to find out that this mysterious place on Google Maps is known as Vostok Island. It lies northeast of New Zealand and belongs to the Republic of Kiribati, an island nation in the Central Pacific that includes 33 coral atolls and islands. There it is. All right, so Vostok Island. So we'll get to that in just a sec and all the rest of this. But I thought it was more interesting to, not just try and debunk these nice theories immediately and say, well, you guys are nuts. This is just an anomaly in Google Maps, right? Sure, fine, maybe. But what about the other considerations here with, Operation High Jump, with Admiral Byrd, with the Antarctica expedition, and so we'll get into some of that stuff tonight too. But basically, what do you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts on the hollow earth theory, which we're going to get into after the bottom of the hour here, and discuss. We'll even get into the Operation High Jump and some of that stuff. And, there's been some very credible people that have discussed holes like this in the earth and describing that they were taken into these areas beneath the earth, either on an airplane or some other way. So it's so I don't know. I don't know exactly what to do with this or how to how to handle this other than what do you guys think? Right? I'm going to keep talking about the possibilities here. Now, as you know, we drink the maybe juice on this show and consider all the things. And clearly, there you go, Vostok Island. You can probably sail out there and check yourself, or fly over in an airplane or something. But, well, this image on Google Maps is compelling enough for me to bring up the flat Earth theory. Or, sorry, not flat Earth. I did it. Hollow Earth. The hollow earth theory. Okay, so what do you guys think? If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link, and we'll put you on the show. Simple as that. Okay, so let's see. What else do we got? So let's jump to that article real quick. So here's one from Live Science, and it just goes a little something like this, right? Regarding Google Maps, 15 secretive places you can now see on Google Earth and 3 you can't. And they've got blurred out and pixelated. They've got the U.S. president, the White House, of course. They've got the one observatory circle, which is the White House. Okay, let's see. This users can still see the slate-roofed 1893 structure and its surrounding grounds without pixelation on Google Maps. Like the White House, the vice president's residence has plenty of on-site security, which is pretty interesting. We've got the U.S. Capitol building, which you can see in the satellite images here. And so HARP, of course, right? The High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, and that huge conspiracy that goes along with that. We won't be talking about that tonight, unless you want to, of course. We've got the Pharaoh Islands, and what they're talking about here is Volkel Air Base in the Netherlands. They're talking about some of these places on Google Earth that has kind of been scrubbed, right? Kind of been digitized or just made so you can't really see the details of what's down there. And so there's this is a cover-up, right? This is definitely a cover-up of sorts. But, right, is it for national security? Is it for, what are they covering up? As always, right, the conspiracy-minded's like, where's the aliens, dude? Where's the aliens? But I don't know if it's always as complex as where's the aliens. Just what exactly are they trying to hide here? And obviously for prisons and things like this, for prison break purposes of criminals that have networks of lots of money and lots of underlings, sort of thing. You don't want to give them as much data as possible so they can break the prison open and get the boss out, sort of thing. But so I get that. And, some of these other reasons, but I don't know. Do you think they're hiding up something more nefarious than that? And that's what's on my mind tonight. So what do you guys think? As usual, like I said, it's I can ramble on, and I'm okay at it, but it's much better having a conversation with you. So we're thinking about the hollow earth theory tonight, beginning with this fantastic image of what appears to be from Google Earth and Vostok Island. And it looks like it's been sort of edited, washed out with what appears to be a black hole of sorts. So it could just be a technical glitch in the Google algorithm or something that makes it look like like a hole that goes into the center of the Earth itself. Or, well, maybe what if it is? So you tell me. That's what's on my mind tonight. And what are your thoughts? What do you think about hollow Earth, that whole theory? And there you go. That's the conversation, and that's the maybe juice, and looking to hear from you. Hollow Earth, the thing or not? What about Agartha? What about people or entities living under the Earth itself? Or how about, Operation High Jump and the rest of that? We're just we're hanging out talking about good stuff, weird stuff, and considering the thought. So if you want to be part of the show tonight, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More Hollow Earth and you after the break. Be right back. All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. Tonight, we're talking about Hollow Earth. You think this is real? What about this theory? There's this interesting image anomaly from Google Maps about Vostok Island, and it looks like there's a black hole or some sort of redaction happening there. Well, it got me thinking about Hollow Earth. And what are your thoughts on this? Do you think there's something to it? Or do you think, again, like a lot of this stuff, or it may or may be fabricated, or maybe, let's say redacted from history, as it were? I don't know. Like, as you guys know, I don't have the answers to that. I'm looking to hear your ideas. So if you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Just call in. We'll put you on the show. And I'd love to hear your theories on Hollow Earth. Do you think this is a thing? You think, let's say clearly there's going to be some sort of a civilization at some point that lived underground, but how prevalent is it? How widespread, and do you think it's larger than they're letting on? And that's the question. Let's see. Okay, all right, cool. So let's go to as we're taking your phone calls. Let's go to our good friend Austin. Austin in Michigan. Welcome to the show, my friend. What's on your mind tonight?
This is one of my favorite subjects ever.
Nice.
So
okay.
I had to call in.
No, perfect.
I talked for over 8 hours a day for weeks with the dude that was in the military, and he was obsessed with it, and he gave me a ton of free books that was related to stuff. We were going all over the place. But so where are we hitting today? I heard what we're talking about, but where should I start? I don't even know where to start.
Just start on your general thought. Do you think the idea of Hollow Earth is real? And then just go from there. Go with what you know.
Yeah, I really do. I am crazy enough to truly believe that there's holes in the poles, and that everyone that gets in those debates about gravity, when I seen the maps of Agarth, and I heard the alternative view of how that is why we actually have gravity, because of how that works. I can't really remember any of it, so that doesn't help, but it was very convincing to me. And Admiral Byrd chasing what they put down as Foo Fighters, there's some bells and there's some discs flying, and some of them have different abilities. Some of the saucers had stun abilities, some of them seem more equipped for attack. And they're coming out of the water, and they're playing with the planes that were flying, and we were shooting at them, and we lost the destroyer. And Admiral Byrd said that he seen a continent about the size of North America and grassland, and down there. And after he reported that he lost the destroyer, I'm not sure if I'm exactly right on when he came back, but I think after he reported the destroyer, he came back, and because the president wanted him out of there, because it was the end of World War II, and he was chasing these things down there with his fleet, and they put him down as mentally insane after he got his interview. But that would be the best way to shut someone up if they knew too much, throw them in the asylum. You may put them down as clinically insane. And that's why people think, at least people I've talked to, don't think he's credible because of his insane asylum thing after he had that experience.
Yeah, he did say a lot. So what you're talking about is Operation High Jump, and there was supposedly some sort of maybe recovery situation going on down to Antarctica. They thought that maybe some of the Nazis had escaped to a secret Nazi base down there.
Oh, yeah.
And there's some of that kind of goes into this mythology a little bit. But again, the official story is not that there was some kind of a research expedition led by Admiral Byrd. And when he did come back, so not only did he describe, as you just said there was some huge, gigantic hole in the ice that led to a world beneath the world. He also described this as existing when he flew in the North Pole as well. So, again, notably, right, this is an admiral, fought in World War II, and this guy, right, he's not not your average run-of-the-mill guy. This is somebody with credentials that they're literally betting on to lead expeditions where people's lives are at stake. You wouldn't think they'd put a nutter in charge of that, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
right, yeah, and they had swastikas in the saucers too, on all the things there were swastikas on them. I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, that's how the story kind of goes, and I don't know exactly. Like I said, some of those sources, of course, are dubious because you just never know, right? If this type of thing was a real situation, they'd smear the hell out of it, right? They try and make it seem like it never happened and there weren't UFOs and all the rest of this, kind of like they're still doing now, right? No UFOs, nothing to see here, except for these 3 videos. By the way, check out these 3 videos. Wow, look at the anomalous things in these 3 videos. Look it over here, not look it over there, right? So, I mean, that doesn't surprise me that they try and cover that stuff up if it was real. But yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Mike D for Life has a good point. So I did pull up his diary, which we'll get to in the back half of the show here. And I was about to say this as well. So he's got a pretty compelling diary, but Mike D for Life on YouTube there says his diary was never proven to be real, unfortunately, even though it's got some pretty bombshell claims in it. So we'll look at that, and again, consider all the things, real or not real. I leave up to you, and there you go. So I don't know. What else do you know? Do you think that, considering, let's say, a Hollow Earth sort of situation, let's say Admiral Byrd was correct and he saw these vast expanses of land underneath the snow in both poles, what do you think is down there?
I think there's like a continent down there. And I think it's like a whole different civilization that has like some kind of peace treaty with someone that got slapped with this. And I feel like I should just throw this question out there just for fun. Live action role play. Let's do it, If you were in a situation where you were threatened with things that you had no idea, you'd never seen it before. You're like, what are these things? I don't know, ETs, maybe people that look like us, but they have crazy technology. And they're like, if you keep us a secret, we'll keep you peace. But if you don't, then you're asking for it. Like, what would you do in that situation? It's such a crazy, thing to imagine. And I feel like that is why we don't know a lot about this stuff, because I think they asked the right people that question, and I think they went with the peace treaty. And you hear a lot about this peace treaty stuff from, Eisenhower's daughter and stuff. I think it's all connected. The Mars stuff, the Moon stuff, Hollow Earth, all of it's got connections, because I would imagine that if there's civilizations inside the planet that we do not know, so you could say alien, because we don't know for sure what they are or where they're from, they could be interplanetary, and they could be maybe the holes. Maybe there's things under there, and holes. Maybe the holes in the poles can be used as something to line up magnetic wormholes or something, and like a highway. Or if they could be used as a highway, and we're just on the side of the highway, and we don't know it exists yet because our civilization's still in its infancy of technology. So they trade technologies with the Nazis, and they're trying to fulfill some of their, maybe they're really into eugenics, maybe they are a lot like Nazis, I don't know. Maybe they just had swastikas, but they weren't as extreme, and we just got corrupted easier, and maybe it has to do with Nordics. Maybe some Greys are actually just wearing suits, and they kind of look like mini versions of us. There's so many things that you got to throw out there. Andrew D. Basiago had a lot of crazy claims about being in a program in the 60s to teleport to Mars and stuff, and Operation Pegasus, I think that he called that. And I thought that was really interesting, too. And I do think it's connected, even though it was after World War II, because you see these weird videos that are probably fake or probably real, I don't know, of swastika bases on the moon. And I watched a video of supposedly Buzz Aldrin walked through there, and they were checking it out, and it kind of looked like a weird space station, kind of imagine the Grand Central Station, but for spaceships. That's kind of what it looked like. There was no spaceships there. It looked relatively abandoned, but I think the swastika is very misinterpreted, I think it's a symbol that is probably used galactically, and that was used in World War II to maybe trick other things watching us into thinking that we're on some kind of better track of understanding the universe, and then maybe they looked a little closer and they're like, whoa, like, this guy's nuts. You know, I don't know.
Okay, we're ranging a little far from here, for far and wide. So back to the Hollow Earth thing. So you think it's real? We got a call behind you, so we got to go in a sec. So maybe another minute. But so in conclusion, you think this is a real place? You think there's maybe something living underneath us?
Yeah, it's got to be. There's too many whited out parts. You look at like Google Maps, and it's like it just looks like they took white out and like a perfect square over certain parts of that place. One in particular that I remember looking at, it was just like this big whited out square. I'm like, what the heck is this? Like, Is this just an error that they're not going to fix ever?
Yeah, there's been some anomalous stuff we've seen. You got 30 seconds, bro. Wrap it up. 30 seconds. We got a call behind you. You've been waiting for a long time.
Okay. All right.
Go ahead. Final thought. Just try and keep it.
Military. Yeah, I was just saying, the military won't let anyone there. Like, when you go there, you got to sign like disclosure agreements, and you hear people that have worked there. A lot of them never come back. A lot of them just stay there and work there forever. It kind of makes you wonder if it's like deep underground military bases. If they're like interlinked. You look up Hollow Earth, the definition is just caves. I looked that up just to mess with my idea of what I thought it was. If we have caves, Hollow Earth exists.
All right, fair enough. Okay, we got more ideas right behind you. Thank you, Austin. You got a YouTube channel called Short Quick. I saw your first video posted today. Give Austin a follow. Thanks for the call, my friend. We'll talk to you soon. Have a fantastic night.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, bro. All right. Let's keep on trucking. So we're talking about Hollow Earth tonight. What do you guys think about this? Do you think it's a real thing? Do you think this is one of those, sort of huge cover-ups like we talked about Tartaria and the mud floods, that sort of situation? Or do you think this is just nothing to see here, right? So clearly we're talking about this, hole that appears on Google Maps. But, this appears to be just a glitch or an anomaly. But it got me thinking in terms of, well, what if there are portals like this, or let's say just holes, caves, whatever they are, that kind of really go down into, whatever's beneath our feet, and kind of getting into the ultra-terrestrials and the rest of that. So if you want to be part of the show tonight, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Thanks for the call, Austin. Let's go to our good friend HB. What's up, my friend? Welcome to the show. How are you?
Oh, well, what a great evening and great subject you've chosen tonight. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you. I'm glad you appreciate it.
All right, great. Now, as I mentioned in the chat on Discord, on your Discord channel, which you might link to people if they need to know where it is, I don't really have a Hollow Earth theory of my own. It's something that's never really solidified in my mind. It's just not... something, I don't know why, it evades me, and I don't really, everything I hear about it, I never really catch on to it and go, yeah, this is here, it's in me too. It just never happens. But Hollow Moon, dude, Hollow Moon, oh yeah, dude, the moon's hollow. Don't even catch me twice on that. The moon is hollow. You know what I'm saying?
Fair enough. Ring like a bell, they said, right?
But the Hollow Earth theories, they never fail to catch my imagination. I can't leave them alone. I have to listen to Hollow Earth theories. I just have to. There's so much detail that goes into it, and there's so many compelling arguments that this may actually be an actual thing. Like, there might actually be somehow a chasm through the crust of the Earth that leads to an interior that, while we've all been misled somehow, that it's filled with magmas and a mantle and a core and all of this. Instead, no, that's all bull beep. It's no, it's an open space. There's like, some people even say there's a sun in the middle of it. Man, I love hearing all of it because it's so strange. Like, why else would the Nazis put
I'm really sorry. The phone line dropped on you. Hang tight, and I'll call this right back, and we'll put you right back on the show. Sorry about that. Just one moment here. All right, hang tight, HB. Hang tight. Going to be right back with you. Perfect timing in the middle of you talking about Hollow Earth. So hang on. Going to be right back. It's connecting. Sorry about that. You got disconnected. Let's see if this is back. Test 1 2. You should be back.
Test 1 2. Yes, I'm it sounds like you're back.
Yeah, sorry about that. You phone line disconnected right in the middle of your sentence. You said you were saying, why wouldn't the Nazis, and then it cut. But go right ahead.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess why? Oh, jeez, man. Well, yeah, well, why wouldn't the Nazis spend a lot of time developing a bunch of shit? Sorry, I don't know. I forgot what I was saying, man. Sorry.
That's okay. So what are your other thoughts?
It's not as elegant as whatever course of discussion I was on earlier, but
that's okay.
There's probably something akin to why wouldn't the Nazis, even if it wasn't real, why wouldn't they run down there and be like, "Hey, was this real?" They had all of this resource to expend, you know.
Yeah, 100%. And they're trying, and they were trying to hide a ton of things. Like there's still like missing art from Europe that they just pillaged all of Europe.
Oh yeah, they're hiding people.
Yeah.
You know, they're hiding people. They're hiding influences that they've had, and a lot of things. You know, the IDF it can only do so much, but and I don't want to focus on the Nazis. I don't even if we went down there in Antarctica and all of a sudden we were looking at open bases, right, and like landings, and we're like, oh great, the Nazis made all this. I would still be like, the Nazis clearly are not as important as whatever was happening there before.
100%. 100%. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, I think whatever was.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you're right. I was
saying go ahead to you though.
Okay. It's just, I agree with you. It's unfortunate that Hollow Earth kind of gets tied up into that Nazi lore, as it were. I agree with you. Like that to me is literally the farthest thing from my mind talking about Nazis, but it is tied into this. But we can talk about it without it. So do you think, let's say in other parts of the world, let's say, I don't know, wherever, like just pick somewhere in like Asia or North America or South America or something.
Argentina.
Do you think there's, Argentina, wherever. Do you think there is like some sort of cave that goes down into a Hollow Earth sort of situation, and then we can just leave the Nazis out of it entirely?
Well, okay. I mean, there are a lot of things that I am partial to. A lot of theories about the formation of the Earth. I am an expanding Earth believer. I think it's extremely difficult not to believe in expanding Earth once you look at how things are going. But if you were to say, now, what about connecting to Hollow Earth? Where else would you go besides Antarctica? I guess I would just go with, like, Arctica, you know? Like, maybe something's up in the North Pole.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of like hidden deep caves, right? Too, that we speculated maybe Bigfoot or creatures like this live in these.
Well,
deep
that's
caverns. So if
that's the great thing about this discussion that you brought up. It doesn't just touch the interior. Like if we were to imagine the interior, the hollowed out interior of the Earth, it doesn't just touch that. It touches the upper crust too. All of these many possible caverns. And some people rumor that there are systems of caverns that coalesce and completely subdivide every different continent that there is civilization upon. America, Russia, South America, Asia, Africa, that there are these caverns, that people know about, but not all people. You know what I mean? It's not just isolated to America or South America, which comes very close to Antarctica, by the way. South America, the very tip of it, is very close. But this sort of tomb-like, cavern-like belief about the underworld isn't restrained to any certain place on the world. It's everywhere. Everybody believes in it. Everybody has heard about it. It's very strange that it's sort of almost one of the ultimate mysteries. Like it's something everybody's discussed, but nobody has ever fulminated the truth of. You know?
Yeah, and I think there are some logistical issues with that because the deeper you get, the more problems you have moving machines in, and that type of thing. So that makes sense. There's got to be some, unless there's some sort of oxygen supporting atmosphere deep down, there's got to be holes that come out, right, for exhaust or whatever, what have you. So, there's got to be a connection, right? Yeah. So there's got to be a connection between the two, I would think. But where do those exist? I think that's part of the question here. So do you think it is plausible then that inside the Earth there's maybe not just a huge space that's livable, but maybe that there's a civilization either living there in the past or currently?
Well, I'll put it to you like this. Coming from a person, like I said, I believe in the hollow moon, 100%. Don't even try to tell me the moon isn't hollow. However, when you come at me with hollow Earth, I go, Lucy, you have some explaining to do, except the fact is, every time I do that, it's because I'm egging it on, because I just want to hear the next theory and the next theory. Nothing has really convinced me yet, and yet it's all there's like, it's almost like it might be the ultimate conspiracy, but I believe in the whole Tartarian and erased history sort of thing, and I consider that pretty ultimate. But look, I've got an open mind about a lot of things, like I always, from a young child age, I believed, like, look, I'll keep an open mind about ghosts and aliens. Ghosts happened. I saw ghosts. Never seen aliens in my life. So I've got a 100%, they exist on ghosts. I'm like 50-50 on aliens still. But, it wanes with age. But now this thing with Hollow Earth, I want to egg it on. I want to hear more and more things. I feel like the topic isn't given enough appreciation and enough energy. I feel like if it was given more appreciation and energy in programs like yours that are giving it forum as a topic, then we would actually, sometime, maybe sooner than later, arrive at a consensus, and maybe even launch an expedition down there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's got to be places that are deep enough to kind of maybe begin that sort of thing. I'm with you. I appreciate that you appreciate it, because I think these are topics that they need to be brought out into the open and discussed, even if it's literally just like ridiculous and phony, and there's no true, real scientific evidence to back it up. How do you know? How do you know till you take yardsticks and go measure and do all the things? Oh yeah,
right? Well, hey, thanks for running the program. I'm going to let you go, okay? And keep running the program. Like, you're doing an amazing job.
I appreciate it, brother. Thank you so much for the call. HB, always a pleasure. We'll talk to you soon. Have a fantastic night. There you go. If you guys want to be part of the show, we're talking about Hollow Earth tonight. And this Reddit user found what appears to be a black hole or something on this island. And, like if you're going to dig into it and say, there's an explanation, well, it's a glitch. It's a glitch, right? It's a glitch on Google Maps or whatever this is. But that's okay, because, it got my mind thinking anyway, in terms of what if there was a hole in the ground so deep, so large, that it led to a hollow Earth. And of course, what would be there? People have said all kinds of things regarding civilizations past and present possibly have lived down there. Agartha's one term. Again, Operation High Jump, that whole thing. So there's something to this, but how much is there? What do you believe? As usual, this is not the answer show, it's the question show, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. And what are your thoughts on Hollow Earth? Is it real? Is it not? Is it somewhere in between? Or is it complicated? And if it's complicated, that's fine by me. So one more time, this is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More Hollow Earth and you after the break. Be right back. We are talking about the alien abduction phenomenon.
The aliens are looking through your eyes and they're accessing your optic nerve. I'm doing fantastic. Through that optic nerve, they're transferring to your brain. People are random images as they traverse neurons in the brain.
So we got, all right, so maybe,
and they also feel them planting.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
all right, good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and this is the show where we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. We do that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. And what are those things, you may ask? Well, let me explain. No, too much. Let me sum up. Those things are aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. And we are streaming. We do this live, of course, to include you. We're streaming on Rockfin, D-Live, YouTube, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And we're taking your phone calls because we're talking about Hollow Earth tonight. What do you think of this theory? Do you think there's something to this? There are stories that range all over the place, from Operation High Jump to maybe the Hollow Earth has been around for thousands and thousands of years, millions of years, and there's an actual civilization that lives down there, ultra-terrestrials they would be called. What do you think? It ranges all over the place. Whether, of course, like I said, in the beginning of this, when we started this conversation, it seems likely that at some point there were civilizations that moved under the ground, okay? And whether that was maybe animals or, early people or what have you, clearly the greatest shelter is going to be the Earth itself. And so with that, meaning, from the sun, from predators, from enemies, from all of those things, right? And so it does make sense that you're going to have some sort of like subterranean worlds, okay? But now the question for tonight is not just subterranean worlds, it's how deep does this go? How deep does this rabbit hole go, literally? And is it one of those situations where you can, maybe you know something about this. Maybe you have some theories. And if you do, we're reading the chat as much as possible, trying to do juggle 7 balls at a time here, but I'm doing my best. And we're taking your phone calls. That's the best way to be on the show if you want to be on be part of the conversation tonight. Just dial this phone number, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can find the phone number and the Discord link at troubledminds.org. That's the official website. Come say hi. Come hang out. Come click the Discord link and hang out with some amazing people. We'll have another Discord server running at fringe.fm/chat. The Discord is a chat client. It's a voice client. You can share photographs in there. It's again, we're not sponsored by Discord in any way whatsoever. It's just an amazing piece of software. It's completely free, and you can communicate with people all over the world right there on your smartphone or your tablet or your computer, as it were. So anyway, Discord. One more time, troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link or fringe.fm/chat. And I'm watching all of it. I'm trying to watch all of it and keep up with everything. So there you go. But that's what's on my mind tonight. So it started with this, okay? We'll get to a Hollow Earth in just a sec. But it began with this that kind of got my idea pointed in this direction. A Reddit user found a black hole on Google Maps, and users couldn't figure out what it was. And you can see the photograph if you're watching the streams and see what I'm looking at and what I'm talking about. It appears there's an island, and this is known as Vostok Island in the South Pacific, and there's it appears as if there's some sort of, I don't know, like a cutout, like a chasm, like a portal, like a black hole, just like the headline read there, really kind of cut into this triangular shaped island. And whether this is a Google glitch or whatever's going on, that's fine. But I think it's a great catalyst for a conversation about what is actually under our feet. And so with that said, we'll get into Hollow Earth and the rest of that. But as always, love to hear from you and your theories on this. But let's read just a little bit about these Hollow Earth theories. Now, this is from, interestingly, This is from the University of Alaska, the www.gi.alaska.edu, the Geophysical Institute. So let's take a look at this and read just a smidge and see what the academics have to say about hollow Earth. There you go. Modern-day proponents of the hollow Earth theory can refer non-believers to the book The Hollow Earth, Bell Publishing Company, 1979, by Raymond Bernard. Bernard, judging from the initials he lists behind his name, holds just about every advanced academic degree, but is apparently somewhat of a recluse. As a spokesman for the publisher states in the foreword of the book, quote, "I will not enter into any correspondence regarding this book or the author. Whether you accept or reject the content of this book is your privilege. No one cares." I love it. I love it. That needs to be a T-shirt. No one cares. All right. The crux of the hollow Earth theory is that the Earth is a shell with walls about 800 miles thick. In the polar regions, there are holes 1,400 miles across with edges that curve smoothly from the outside of the shell around to the inside. A sea or surface traveler could proceed over an edge of the hole like an ant crawling over the lip of a morning mug from the outside to the inside, and not be aware he was actually entering the interior of the Earth. Bernard explains that the holes have never been seen from the air because pilots are fooled by their compass into believing that they are crossing the pole when they are actually following the hole's magnetic rim. Thus, aircraft really never fly over the geographic poles, which naturally mark the centers of the holes themselves. As irrefutable proof of his claim, he cites Admiral Byrd's statement, quote, "I'd like to see the land beyond the pole. The area beyond the pole is the great unknown." And so the hollow Earth theory actually seems to have been originated in the early 1800s by one John Sims, an earnest American who devoted the greater part of his later life to convincing the world that the Earth was formed by a series of concentric shells. So anyway, there we go. That's a nice way to begin this on what the hollow Earth actually is. So it's not a huge hole in the ground per se. It's a sort of the Earth sort of just graduates into an inner Earth, right? And we could get into Agarth and some of the other things there, but like I said, what do you believe about this? That's a good way to describe it, I think. I've never heard it described as such, where instead of a hole in the ground, there's sort of a lip, like a lip you kind of crawl over, and you wouldn't even notice you were kind of inside the hollow Earth at that point. So I don't know. You tell me. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one more time. We're doing this live to include you, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. There's the phone number. And there's more. There's more here. So let's read just a little bit more from this, again, from the Geophysical Institute, the University of Alaska Fairbanks. And good. Let's see what academics have to say. Of course, they're kind of crapping on this guy's idea, but what can you do, right? That's what you'd expect from academics. Instead of maybe taking a camera out there and proving this is wrong, right? I mean, that could be done easily, right? I mean, I guess. So here we go. This individual, Sims, believed there were miles of wondrous unclaimed domain beneath our feet, with lush vegetation and fish and game for the taking. Apparently, there were those who took him seriously. As reported in October 1882 issue of Harper's New Monthly Magazine, a Mr. Howgate had recently been in the news, proposing that an expedition to be made to discover Sims Hole. Is this like Mel's Hole? You guys ever heard this story from old school Coast to Coast? Speaking of Art Bell, we did an Art Bell tribute a little bit last night. But Sims Hole, as it were. His plan was to have a number of men acclimate themselves to higher and higher latitudes, moving further north each year. They were to observe the animals and presumably wintered over within the earth each year and emerged during the spring to bear young. Eventually, the colony of men were to follow the animals in the fall to find where they entered into that marvelous land at the center of the earth. It says, of course, at the end of this, sadly, for this romantic concept, if today's believers are correct, the only thing they would ever find there now are flying saucers. Of course, they got to make the dig, right? They got to make the dig at the end about the flying saucers. You can't talk about Hollow Earth without making fun of people. And so, well, naturally, thanks University of Alaska Fairbanks, the Geophysical Institute, for the flying saucer dig. You're the best. But yeah, so I don't know that. Like I said, this again dates back to the modern theory of this is from actual Admiral Byrd, right? Operation High Jump, which again, we could get to that in a bit. Like I said, depends on where you guys want to take this. As I always say, nonlinear, open-ended. What about that portal? How about this? You want to talk about nonlinear and open-ended? What if that portal we were discussing earlier is not necessarily just a gateway into the Earth itself? What if there's a portal of such where you step through, and very much like a Stargate or something else, you come through in another place? Maybe Agartha or the inner Earth is not necessarily inside the Earth. Maybe there's an actual portal system of sorts that kind of opens and closes based on, who knows, weather patterns, electromagnetic fields. There have been proven to be portals in the magnetic field. NASA's proven this. They've got data to back it all up. And not only that, they found recently, which really wasn't part of the purview tonight, but I think it's worth mentioning, is that they found that there's magnetic fields, tunnels on two sides of the Earth that stretch for light years, literal light years, magnetic field tunnels. And so it kind of makes you wonder if there's something going on there, sort of portal-wise, right? So I don't know. What are your thoughts on Hollow Earth? Like I said, it can go all over the place. Some people describe it as being just a place under the Earth, under our feet. And as described there by Admiral Byrd and this other individual, I believe it was Sims, says that as you cross over into this new realm, you don't even realize it. It curves over, and you just walk right in like the other side of a coffee cup, and you still think you're on the Earth itself instead of inside. And so there's some other pretty let's say out there theories with this, including that we ourselves live inside of a hollow Earth-like structure. And this is the whole space is fake theory, right? With the firmament and where it's a closed system and we're not actually allowed to leave. That's another hollow Earth theory. So there's some pretty interesting ones out there to consider and think about. But what do you think? As usual, right? I'll get into a little bit more of this stuff as we go. But love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. Let's go. Let's see. There's more here. Now this one's pretty cool. This is from a website called HollowEarthResearch.org. And if you're looking to get into this, I think this is probably the place to start. So here we go. Let's see. So the Hollow Earth theory or another has surfaced for thousands of years. The concept of a subterranean land inside the Earth has been popular in mythology, folklore, and legends from ancient times. Back then, the concept of subterranean worlds appeared feasible, and although no one spoke of a hollow Earth theory, interior life became linked with the concept of places, such as the underworld of Greek mythology, the Nordic Svart, and the Christian Hell, and the Jewish Sheol. Edmund Halley in 1692 was put forth the idea of Earth consisting of a hollow shell about 800 kilometers thick with two inner concentric shells and an innermost core about the diameters of the planets Venus, Mars, and Mercury. Atmospheres separate these shells, and each shell has its own magnetic poles. These spheres rotate at different speeds. Halley proposed this scheme in order to explain anomalous compass readings. He envisaged the atmosphere inside as luminous and possibly inhabited, and speculated that escaping gas caused the aurora borealis. So there we go. There's where this sort of began, and that ties in a little bit to what we were discussing just previously there. But I don't know. I think it is one of those compelling things that what is under our feet? We kind of don't really know. There's a lot of studies that have been done, but I think the furthest we've ever dug a hole was like 12, 15 kilometers, something like that. And I think the Russians did that. We talked about that back in the episode when we did the portals to hell, right? The gateways to hell. What if there is? What if there is some sort of civilization or habitable space beneath our feet? Pretty interesting stuff there. So I don't know. A lot of interesting theories again. Like HB said that the moon is definitely hollow. And try and convince them otherwise. You get an arm wrestling match. But it is a compelling conversation to consider that there are spaces beneath our feet where maybe civilizations have thrived and lived and maybe died and withered away over the years, over the millennia. And so who knows? Who knows? As always, right? What are your thoughts on this? So let's go to the chat, see if things are waking up out there. Hello, test 1 2. Can you hear me? What's going on, guys? Let's see. Okay. Yep. Good. All right. Chat's moving. Chat's good. All right. Okay. So let's go back to this website then. This is pretty good. This is a pretty good one. Like I said, the hollowearthresearch.org is where you can find this. And all the links, of course, are down below, and you can easily just click them and see. So we did the Edmund Halley in 1692. All right, let's see. In the 19th century, this is John Cleves Sims Jr. We just did that. The Earth consisted of a hollow shell. Here's another one. Jeremiah Reynolds also delivered lectures on the hollow Earth and argued for an expedition. Reynolds went on an expedition to Antarctica himself, but missed joining the great U.S. exploring expedition of 1838 and 1842, even though that venture was a result of his agitation. So interesting. He made it happen, but he didn't get to go on the actual excursion himself. Through though Sims himself never wrote a book about his ideas, several authors published works discussing the idea. McBride wrote Sims' theory of concentric spheres in 1826. It appears that Reynolds has an article that appeared as a separate booklet in 1827 on the Sims theory, which appeared in the American Quarterly Review. And in 1868, Professor W.F. Lyons published the Hollow Globe, which put forth a Sims-like hollow Earth hypothesis, but failed to mention Sims himself. Sims' son Americus then published the Sims theory of concentric spheres in 1878 to set the record straight. And then, of course, right, then we get into the Nazis and the Thule Society, which, again, we don't have to do that. Like I said, that takes us to a dark place with Nazis and the rest of that. But I don't know. There's a lot of things, right? We talked about that well to hell in Yemen. We talked about different portals to the underworld, sort of like the Oracle at Delphi, right? That sort of situation where there's this space where supposedly the oracle sat in ancient Greece, and it was filled with noxious gases that were supposedly coming from the underworld and gave them hallucinations and the ability to foretell the future. And there's a lot of these theories about portals to Hades and things like this, the actual mythological underworld. But what if there's an actual underworld? What if people do live there? What if there's ultra-terrestrials, as they're called? I don't know. I think there's a lot of compelling stuff here. What do you guys think? One more time, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And there's, of course, the Agartha. We'll get to Agartha and that, and Operation High Jump. As always, you guys can take this conversation wherever you want to. And let's see. Okay, let's see. Now, this is interesting. This is from ancientcode.com. Got a lot of different takes on this, and some of them, of course, are going to be a little bit snarky. Oh, yeah, the hollow Earth, right? But clearly, we don't know what's under our feet. We have some estimates by scientists and geological surveys and things like this, but nobody really knows, right? So anyway, here we go. One of the most interesting questions people have asked for centuries is whether there's a possibility that our planet is hollow. For many years, it was believed that the Earth was hollow, but even though many have come up with theories, until 1968, there was no proof. That year, pictures taken by a satellite orbiting Earth clearly showed a gaping hole located at the North Pole. Enough evidence to support the hollow Earth theory, according to many. In the early 1970s, ESSA, a project belonging to the Department of Commerce of the United States, gave media access to images of the North Pole taken by the ESSA-7 satellite on November 23, 1968. One of the photographs showed the North Pole covered by the usual cloud. The other one showed the same area without clouds, revealing a huge hole where the pole was supposed to be located. Little did ESSA's team know that these images would awake the intersect of researchers around the globe who had already suspected of anomalies at the North Pole, anomalies that would fuel the research of unidentified flying objects that, according to many, were deeply connected to the North Pole and the hollow Earth theory. And there it is, right? You can't bring this up without the aforemention of UFOs, because, well, why not, right? And, we've talked about, how about UFOs for a sec? Let's consider that. If there was a breakaway civilization, where would they reside? You think they'd just be chilling over there on the other side of the fence, right side of the tracks sort of thing, where you could just walk up on it and find the UFO base? Right? I don't know, right? And I'm not talking about aliens. I'm talking about maybe a super advanced, or not advanced, let's say became advanced, that breakaway civilization idea, that maybe people walked away and turned into, they either found some sort of way of maybe finding UFO crash wrecks and reverse engineering them, or maybe they were able to crack the anti-gravitics themselves, and maybe that's what we're seeing now. There's some theories out there that suggest, including quotes by senators that say that there's an entire government, like a shadow government, that is not under the purview of the president or any sort of oversight at all. And if that's the case, maybe that's what's going on here. And so I don't know. Thoughts on that? And what about UFOs? If there were going to be UFO bases anywhere, we've talked about them being clearly under the ocean, right? Because hard for people to get to. Obviously, if you can crack gravity and be able to do anti-gravity sort of situations with craft, then clearly you would be able to solve the water problem and just kind of go down and as deep as you want to, right? And hide underneath. So I don't know. You tell me. That's part of the idea tonight, part of the questions on Hollow Earth. And do you think it's real? And if so, of course, how deep does that rabbit hole go? Because, like I said, I think it's Turkey Darren Q, right? I think it's one of the ones that's a very large underground civilization. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I'll look it up real quick. But I think that's the name of the place, and it's kind of baffling to people. They don't understand exactly how long it's been there, why people did live underground when there's plenty of perfectly good ground right here above the earth. Why did people descend below? So it does make sense to me in some capacity, but in others it seems, well, let's say suspicious. And so when you start to consider the possibilities, well, you never know. What's up, KD says, real UFOs come from different dimensions. And I tend to agree with you there, right? If we're talking about sort of aliens or whatever, it doesn't make sense that they fly, millions of light years, because it's, right, the whole advanced propulsion problem. You'd have to be able to open a wormhole sort of thing to even be able to cover that type of space. So interdimensional stuff definitely seems more likely in that case. But if the UFOs flying around Earth are actually ours, then, well, you tell me. I don't know. That's the question. That's what I have on my mind tonight. And would they hide in a hollow earth, as it were, or some sort of base underground? I think that's the question. So you tell me, as always, right? So they said they have some evidence here from the 1970s. The ESSA satellite project actually got some images. And actually, let's look at this image here. There's an actual image that you can see from a satellite, apparently, that is exactly what the satellite image looks like. So yeah, this is from ancientcode.com, and there you go. There's the photograph. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on this? Is this if this is exactly what Admiral Byrd described, then well, there's a smoking gun proof, isn't there? But if it's not, and this is maybe doctored or something some way, which of course we always have to be wary of. Photoshop is super easy these days. But you tell me. Love to hear your ideas and what you think about Hollow Earth. Is it real? Is it fake? Is it somewhere in between? Is it a hoax? All of that stuff. We're considering all the possibilities as usual, and love to hear your thoughts. If you want to be part of the conversation, give us a call at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More Hollow Earth and you after the break. Be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and tonight we're talking about Hollow Earth. What do you believe? We're streaming on Rock Band, D-Live, YouTube, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the French FM, and we're taking your phone calls. If you want to be part of this conversation, what do you think? Admiral Byrd, Operation High Jump, UFOs, well, these ESSA supposed photographs that they say is an actual rim that goes into the hollow earth itself. I don't know what to believe, right? Photoshop is super easy to fool us these days. You tell me. What are your thoughts? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And let's keep on trucking, shall we? Let's go to our good friend Joe in Florida. Thank you for calling, and let's get to it. Welcome to the show, my man. What's going on?
Oh, hanging out. Not looking forward to going back to work tomorrow after taking some time off, but not really because I still have to go to work, even though I had vacation time. But anyway, Hollow Earth. When I was a little kid, my uncle gave me it was like a cassette. And I remember on the cassette, it was like a recording of a recording. It said Admiral Byrd. And I would always play the cassette. It was basically a narration of that story. I never knew the cultural, importance or the cultural legend, theory, whatever it is, until I got older. This was in the late 70s, probably early 80s that I used to have this tape. I remember that. And then you forget about things when you hear about Hollow Earth and Admiral Byrd. Again, as far as my basis of knowledge of it. However, when I think about aliens, and I think about those eyes, the way the eyes are, typically I would think would be a custom if it was evolution, that they would have evolved someplace dark, where maybe they get the heat from the core of the planet, but they don't get the light. Kind of like if you went deep down in the ocean and under extreme pressures, there's always something living. Life finds a way. And with however aged the planet is, maybe there is something down there. We've seen objects shoot out of volcanoes. That's been caught on video. I believe the moon is probably more hollow. I would tend to believe maybe the moon, 80% would be my belief that there's something in the moon. And just because I think there's more evidence, because like we've mentioned, the moon is rang like a bell. We don't always see what's on the dark side of the moon. There's helium-3 in the moon. We've had astronauts supposedly get caught in audio, say things about the moon. And really, unless I'm missing evidence, we don't have any definitive fact that there's a hole in the North Pole or the South Pole, wherever it's at. I would think that if there's something that large, all of us would maybe know a pilot or somebody that would leak something that big. You can't hide something that big. Okay, it'd be like trying to prove the Earth was flat, maybe. I don't know. It'd be kind of hard to hide if the Earth was flat, because if the Earth really is flat, everybody's doing a good job of hiding it. Not to offend any flat earthers. The other thing that I think about is, if I had to do it biblically, maybe the Watchers were on the moon, watching the planet develop. They rebelled, they got cast out, they came down to the Earth, and they made a society underground after a while, after genetically manipulating us, and they've stayed hidden ever since.
Yeah, I dig it. Some good thoughts. Let me ask you there to follow up on where you started. You said you had a cassette of how it went. You mean Operation High Jump? Is that what you're talking about? What was the cassette you had from your?
Yeah, I vaguely. Yep. I vaguely photographic memory. I could see it's like a black cassette tape that I had, and basically with pencil writing, it had Admiral Byrd's Operation High Jump and Journeys. And I'm wondering. I haven't looked it up on YouTube. I'm sure if I went through enough of the maybe YouTube documents that might have that, I might be able to actually identify the recording. But I just remember a guy speaking, a narrator, for all I know, it could be Admiral Byrd. It was an old audio, like something you might hear from the 60s or, from the 60s, a recording of a recording. And, just talking about this expedition, the snow. I think, if I remember correctly, it had sound effects, like wind blowing and all of that. Going and traveling, in a journey. I don't remember what the outcome was, because, like I said, I was a kid, but I remember having that audio tip.
Yeah, there is a version of that. I
and
think
then it
it's
made sense.
Yeah, if it's the same thing, just real quick, I have seen a version of that on YouTube. It's black and white talking about Operation High Jump, and they've got penguins on deck and all kinds of stuff, right? They've got some of that stuff actually happening in like a kind of an archive footage type of propaganda reel that was made clearly after the fact. But they don't mention anything like conspiratorial, of course. It's just simply like you would expect, right? It was an expedition to go check out what was down there, and that was kind of it. But there are some actual like footage on YouTube I've seen, and the way you describe the narrator talking, it's probably something similar. I'll bet you. Go check it out on YouTube. It may ring a bell and bring you back to your childhood. Little time travel action, but that's amazing. So you were familiar with this when you were young. So this has been around for a long time. People are talking about this.
And my uncle always used to mention Planet X. So it was weird. It was like in the late 70s, early 80s, and he'd be like, one day Planet X is going to, I don't think he called it Nibiru. He said, Planet X, there's another planet. He would be like, there's another planet out there, and he'd call it Planet X. I don't know if he knew if it was Nibiru labeled at that time or what, but, and I don't know where he learned that from, because him and my dad, they lived in a convent during World War II in Sicily before they came back over here in a Liberty ship, So as far as I know, they just went to work, but my uncle was kind of start to wonder about my uncle years later if he was into some esoteric stuff, because he always mentioned some weird oddball stuff. Maybe that's where I get it. I don't know. But,
you were that guy. You had the weird uncle, man. I'm the weird uncle now.
Yeah, definitely, right. So that's that's how that goes.
Yeah, pretty good.
Interesting topic again.
Yeah, so
I don't think. Well, here's the thing: I don't even think we'd ever be able to get down there because the pressure. The pressure. And if you look at it was the Godzilla movie, Godzilla versus Kong. In that movie, they go underneath to Agarth, and that's where Kong was. And there's gravity. There's gravity anomalies, and people get crushed, and everything's upside down. Everything's opposite. But it was pretty neat because they account for the movie. Godzilla shows up in different parts of the ocean very quickly, and they suspect in some of the movies that he knows how to traverse the hollow earth. And it was done pretty well. If you're a fan of Godzilla, I'm a big Godzilla fan, kaiju fan. So it was kind of fun. So when you brought the subject up, I just kept thinking of Godzilla versus Kong, and in the end, Kong is back home, and his home is the hollow earth, and there's still dinosaurs going around, and pretty much the way Animal Bird, described it. So.
Yeah, pretty nice. So just a couple things before you take off here. Fantastic stuff as always. Thank you for the phone call. You said that, like there are places where, like you brought the alien eyes into it, and there are places on the earth like the Mariana Trench, for one, right? Where so deep down, it's so black that things have evolved down there, fish in particular, right? Fish or even other creatures that we can't even really verify yet because it's just pitch black and the pressure is so immense that they've actually been able to evolve lights, right? Like little appendages that hover over their eyeballs with lights glowing, right? I mean, so this is the type of stuff that exactly, like, even if you say, let's say the hollow earth is just like a cave that goes to the center of the earth and there's like a thin layer of crust that's, livable, and the rest of the earth is like they say with a fireball in the middle and all that stuff, the molten iron or whatever. But it would make sense that if there were creatures there, they would evolve to live there. It makes perfect sense, man. I love how you kind of frame it.
And, and when you think about it, I mean, if, there's pockets of methane, there's pockets of oil, and there's these pockets, who knows if there's not these huge pockets deeper down where, something can definitely live. I mean, you have plate tectonics. I mean, the whole surface, the whole crust of the earth floats on something, basically. It moves along and travels. Where like the noisy neighbors upstairs, explain nuclear explosions, something shows up. Is there something in the ocean? Probably willing to bet, yeah, something deep in the ocean, like we said. Yeah, I mean, it's a good subject. We know. I don't know, because we keep going out to space. We keep going out to space, and we keep going out to space. And, I start to wonder if we're looking in the wrong direction. And I start to wonder if they're going to try to send us. Well, I think they're trying to send us to space so they can maybe kill us off a little bit easier, because, a lot of people are going to die trying to colonize Mars.
That's true. That's true.
So,
I appreciate the call, my friend. You were the best. Joe in Florida. Good luck at work tomorrow, man. Tell him I said hi.
No, they'll all be dead. So,
okay,
I'll paint a smile on their face for you. Okay.
Thanks, brother. Have a great night.
Good night.
Oh, geez, that's a bad joke from Joe in Florida. He's actually a funeral director, so that was his joke. They'd all be dead. So it is a bad joke, but it's true. Okay, all right. So we're talking about Hollow Earth. What do you guys think? We got a bunch of calls coming in. I appreciate that. Appreciate the interest, guys. So let's just take these in order. If you want to be part of the show tonight, we're going to keep on trucking for a third hour after this, after we get off the radio. So no worries. Just please be patient as we get through some of the thoughts here. 702-957-1037, troubledminds.org. Let's go back to HB. Second call tonight. So let's make this one quick, my friend. We got friends behind you. But so what are your thoughts? What did you
all right, well, my original thoughts weren't quick at all, but the last guy to precede me there has certainly left me with a little bit to say. So I can boil it down. If we're to look at, if any one of us was to look at the concept of hollow earth from right here, standing where we are, okay, standing where, or sitting, I suppose many of us are, depending on where the sunlight falls at this point in time. Wherever you are, draining directly from your head down through your torso, directly down to the center of the planet. Just think about it. Just think about it as like a connecting point. There's this suggestion that some of it is hollow and inhabited, right? And inhabited. My suggestion is, what happens to all of our thoughts about energy that's supposed to collect to us, from the earth through our feet, these different chakra energies? And what about a lot of different social energies where we're supposedly doing a lot of different things for each other based on, what's capable of happening on the earth? If you're going to add in a hollow earth with an entire new civilization down there underneath, you need to drag them up, and they need to pay their taxes. Okay, if they're in, okay.
Yes, sir.
I mean, you asked me to make it quick, so I did.
Perfect. As you know, if you want to jump in the third hour, we have a limited radio time, so hop on in the third hour if you got more to say. Love to have you. Okay?
I'll find my opportunity, man. Thanks a lot for the show.
Appreciate it, brother. Thanks for the call. Good stuff from HB as always. All right, so talking about Hollow Earth tonight. What do you guys think about this? Is it real? Is it not? Is it somewhere in between? And what are your theories? 702-957-1037. Let's go to Jennifer in Missouri. Welcome to the show, my friend. How are you tonight?
Doing good. I like the topic of Agartha. I think everybody does. It's really cool because, or just Hollow Earth in general. So I think everybody's heard about it by now, and but there's just so much to it to explore, as far as, because people don't think about it all the time. But I was thinking a few things. Joe, when he called in, was talking about the eyes of the graves and everything, and the aliens people report, and the Nagas, the reptilian race people that are reported in like the Indian traditions. Supposedly, I've heard that they live like on subterranean worlds, and along with the Hollow Earth thing. But there's kind of an animosity towards humanity, and that they do abduct people from the surface, and that they even eat them sometimes. That kind of, because people have heard about that with the dumbs, like the deep underground bases. All this stuff going on with the underground, and then like the Bigfoots and the trolls and the Jotun and everything. The stories of them abducting children and bringing them under the surface of the earth for different purposes, not to eat them, but to like train them or something like that. Because I've heard that race is somehow really wise and a part of the old race. And I don't know. So there's all this different mythos about it. But basically all these creatures that people encounter and all the different species of, or basically paranormal encounters in general, that they may be generating from the hollow earth, basically. Like even the mounds. Supposedly, I was hearing, I guess the mounds, they're in Ireland and all over the world, really, down in Mexico and all over the world, that they had filled those in. Like the ones like the mounds in Ireland, at least, they were talking about that those used to be entrances to some of the cavern systems, and that those systems go even deeper than that. So it's really strange. And then you have the idea that you have the outer crust, and then basically our inner, all the gases and all of that, and all the different layers of rock and the cavern systems. And then you'd go below, and of course the waters, the oceans, but then you'd go below that. Eventually you're going to hit, like, I guess in the hollow earth theory, like several different layers, almost like planets inside planets, with atmospheres all of their own and magnetic fields all their own. That's kind of the idea, I guess. And then it's really strange if you think about, and that the Borealis is explained because of that, the gases escaping from the poles and everything. But one thing I thought was really, really strange was, on the surface of the Earth, with the hollow Earth theory, if it's true or whatever, because, it is ancient. It goes back with like every single ancient civilization has stories about it. But so say that gravity is actually, it's emanating, from the Earth, on the surface of the Earth, and it's holding us down on the ground. And as you go deeper in, that there might be two suns, maybe just one, or at least one. So say there's a center sun, but say you come in from the surface of the Earth, you go below that, and then you come into like an atmosphere, and then they're living on the inside concave of that with the center sun, 24-hour sun, and have less gravity. It would be weird if they're able to float and have learned to, like, move with the power of their minds or something because they have no gravity, kind of like astronauts when they go up and they have no gravity. What if that, that's so strange. And then you think about the Vimanas that they had in Indian imagery and things like that, and then the flying saucers, that they're anti-gravity. It would make perfect sense that they would have that kind of technology, because if they have no gravity in their world at the hollow earth, then, because that would make sense if you come in from the magnetic field and say the hollow earth has half gravity or no gravity on the surface, really, or just, well, at least half gravity of some kind. Perhaps none, I don't know. But say that they've learned how to move, these beings or these people have learned they're floating, perpetually floating. Not only that, though, but they'd be exposed to sunlight 24 hours. So you could have giants and an enormous vegetation, even that, because that makes a lot of sense. Because if up in Alaska, they have the all-night sun, the all-day sun, that kind of thing going on, and their vegetation grows really big, like their fruits and their vegetables, like cabbages, enormous cabbages and things like that. And then you think about the Jurassic World and everything, the stories that they tell about that. What if they're talking about stories from some world inside of the inner hollow world where everything's gotten really huge because it's got a 24-hour sun? I don't know. It is amazing. It's an amazing idea, the hollow earth thing. I've always been fascinated by it, but I'm so glad you brought it up, because I was like, oh yeah, I haven't thought about that much, but it's crazy.
Leave it to me. I'll bring up weird stuff when you least expect it. I'm glad somebody appreciates it.
Yeah, I was like, what the heck? I was like, yes. And I was, there's some, remember like, okay, like the Gobi, like Lemuria and Mu, that those people, that they had a war with, some of the people that were living in one of the one of the layers or something. And so that these races too, some of them in some of these worlds may be the descendants of Lemuria and Mu, those worlds that sunk, and that their entrances are somewhere out in the desert, that goes into the whole, that star, the portals, the Stargate portal thing out in the deserts. Because they say you can't see some of these portals that are in the desert, that they're masked, basically, like desert mirages type thing. So I don't know. Anyway, though, I'm really glad you brought it up, and it's so cool hearing everybody's thoughts. And I was thinking about that anti-gravity thing, and that really freaks. If they don't experience gravity the same as we do, they're literally just like, it makes sense that they could create saucers and things like that, Or it would even explain people flying, people accounting for that, that they've seen things like that.
Exactly. They've evolved somehow to be able to defy gravity in some way, whether it's technology or whether it's some sort of something going on there. I love the way you think. Right. You not just go, okay, Hollow Earth, but you're like considering how this would play out, like through time and through evolution and through maybe technological processes. And what happens if it does curve underneath and there's a sun in the middle? That's really what this is about, right? It's about trying to consider if this is real, if this is possible. So fantastic stuff as always, Jennifer.
We have to consider it. We have to consider it, even though it's like, well, yeah, that's really wild. It's like everybody throughout history has considered it and mentioned it. And so we should definitely consider it still, even though we've never seen it. But I'm so glad you brought it up.
I'm glad you called and shared with us. If everybody likes Jennifer and her calls, please follow her YouTube channel. Scroll down. You can find it both on YouTube and on Rockfin. Just it says follow Jennifer here. Click it. Go give her a follow. Thank you so much for the call, Jennifer. Always a blast.
Thank you, Mike.
Have a great
night. Bye.
Thanks a lot. You too. There you go. Easy as that. You dial the phone number. We got Robert on deck. We're going to go to you in just a minute, Robert. Let's wrap this up on the radio, and then we'll give you plenty of time afterwards. So just hang tight for another couple minutes here. So there you go. So I don't know. As always, right, this is the question show. This is not the answer show. And we do got to open our mind and consider the possibility of these things, if not at least because people have been talking about it for hundreds or even thousands of years, right? Again, if you go back to like the 80s, remember the early 80s, late 70s, there was that show called Land of the Lost with the Slee Stacks, and they lived underground. They lived underground in caves, right? It was just caves, like Austin said when he first called tonight. You look up the definition of the Hollow Earth, and it's, there's caves. Okay, yeah, there's caves. I'm sure that's fine. But what is at the bottom of the caves, and that's what's going on. So if you guys want to be part of this conversation, we're going to go for a third hour here, but as we finish up on the Fringe FM, you know the drill. We don't have answers. This isn't the answer show. This is the question show. This is where we get together and discuss all these things. Just food for thought, just for thought experiments, just for drinking some maybe juice and having a fun conversation. It's what all this is about. Like I said, believe what you want to, and it's okay. That's fine. That's 100% cool by me, because we're not trying to convince anybody of anything, just trying to consider the possibilities. So thanks again for listening. Thanks for all the fantastic calls. As always, thanks for all the amazing chat. Thanks for supporting the show. You know what to do. We have one more hour of Troubled Minds coming up. If you're listening on any of the platforms other than Fringe FM, if you're listening on the Fringe FM, stay tuned for Joe Roop Lighting the Void. And of course, as we finish, be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night. Hang tight, Robert. We're going to get to you in just one moment. All right, we are now off the Fringe, and we're going to skip the break here to get. We're going to get Robert on the phone because he's been waiting for quite a while, and then we'll take the break after Robert's phone call. So let's do it. We're talking about flat Earth. Sorry, not flat. I keep doing that. We're talking about Hollow Earth, Agartha. Talking about Operation High Jump. Just talking about considering the possibilities of what actually lies beneath our feet. Are there civilizations? Is there space people could live in? And all the rest of this stuff. So thanks, Robert, for being patient. Thanks everybody else for all the amazing calls tonight. Let's go to our good friend Robert in Pennsylvania. What's up, Robert? Welcome to the show. How are you, my man?
I'm fine. And you? And you?
Yeah, good. I hear you.
Are you fine?
I'm doing well. Yes. Okay. Other than some technical issues earlier, we had, I don't know what was going on. I think somebody hit a pole out here or something, and so it knocked the internet out for about 2 hours. But we're good. We're good tonight. Everything's back on, and I'm feeling great, and I hope you are too.
Okay, I've got something here for you. All right, that is actually tied to this topic. All right, but it's you're always looking for something unique that other paranormal podcasters don't really talk about. All right, and that's what I posted in the chat. I'm going to give you a little background on this. All right, back in the late 40s, there was a publisher named Ray Palmer. He was the publisher of Amazing Stories and also Fate magazine. Well, back in the late 40s, he started getting these mysterious letters from a man that identified himself as Richard Shaver. All right, and this Richard Shaver, in these letters, which claimed that he had wandered into a cave, all right, and went down deep into the subterranean civilization, and he managed to escape from there. But what he encountered was a dark race, ancient race of beings that he called the Dero, D-E-R-O. All right, and he claimed that in ancient times, long, maybe millions of years ago, there were two races on the earth, advanced races. One was the Tiro, and the other one was the Dero. Now, the Tiro decided to leave the earth, all right, because the radiation from the sun had gotten too bad for them. They couldn't deal with it. But the Dero escaped from the surface of the earth into these subterranean tunnels and continue to exist today. And he claimed that the Dero there's machinery down in these subterranean caverns, and that they have machinery, and they use this machinery in an evil way to really just plague above ground dwellers, because they really are jealous and hateful to anybody that can still exist and outside the caves on the earth. So they use these machines to cause people to do stupid things. They use the machines to cause war, different things like that. All right. Matter of fact, the Skinwalker Ranch. I'm aware that they supposedly came across this cave, and they were supposed to be daring to go into this cave or something. And a lot of what's going on at the Skinwalker Ranch may actually, like the cattle mutilations, that sort of thing, may actually be the Dero. These Dero may be responsible for that. All right. What am I getting at?
No, I like
so anyway, you're looking at the Wikipedia page, and you'll notice there that sometimes they manage to get a hold of humans and drag them into the caves for meat. All right, but what's interesting is this was when Palmer published these letters by Richard Shaver. It caused a sensation back in the late 40s. All right, and then it was revived in books written by different authors in the 70s. And then after that, pretty much the whole business vanished from discussion. So what I'm suggesting to you is this is really something that would make a tremendously great Troubled Mind show. If you did a little bit of... And the Wikipedia page is just the prime, to get you started into getting a little familiar with what I'm talking about.
Gotcha. Okay. So I've never actually heard of this. This is amazing. And doesn't it kind of have a sort of similar vibe to H.G. Wells and the Time Machine? It kind of has that, doesn't it? Is it the Morlocks?
Yeah, I'll note that. I'll note that. Those what were they called? The
Morlocks.
Begin with an M. Yeah, sure it is. And matter of fact, there's been a lot of skepticism about this guy, this Richard Shaver, that he had spent eight years in a psychiatric ward that he was somewhat schizophrenic. But there's also people who truly believe that what he was saying is true, and that's not your position as the host of your show to decide the truth.
Anyway, yeah, I'm with you. You still there? Test 1, 2. Sounds like you cut out. Still there, Robert. Robert. Looks like my end, the technology's holding up. Cross your fingers for that. But Robert, you just cut out. Are you there? Test 1, 2. All right. If you want to continue, I'm gonna drop this line. Looks like the call dropped. If you want to call back, Robert, please do, and we'll put you back on to hear more of this. But this is fantastic. This is exactly the type of stuff, right? Some of these stories that do go back, and not to say I want to clarify too what I was saying there. It reminded me of the story of the time machine with the Morlocks, H.G. Wells, that whole thing. So it not because there's similarities you write it off. I'm just saying it seemed familiar to me, that story, because of that, because I wasn't familiar with the Dero and the Tiro, but I am familiar with the Morlocks and that whole H.G. Wells time machine situation. So there you go. If you guys want to be part of the show, like I said, if you great call as always from Robert, and you're welcome to call back if you want to try the phone line one more time. And so yeah, it looks like he's calling back. So let's try this, and we'll get Robert back on here. Phone dropped, and there you go. So yeah, interesting. Richard Sharp Shaver. So we'll get Robert back on in just one moment, and we'll continue talking about this. But we're going to keep doing this for another hour, guys. If you guys are interested, we're talking about the flat Earth. I keep doing it. The hollow Earth, and not the flat Earth, the hollow Earth. And is there something to this? Like, there's a lot of stories that go back for quite some time, and as we're hearing here from Robert, the Richard Sharp Shaver story, which again is known as the Shaver Mystery, will be a fantastic show for the future. So we will definitely do that. And as you know, this is the best part, right? We take submissions. If you guys want to hear shows, the Mud Floods and Tartaria, that was because our good buddy Clayton from Rockfin called in one night and started talking about it, and so we did it. So that's what's going on. That's what's happening with this, and there we are. So let's get back to Robert, and let's keep on trucking with this. Robert, welcome back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, somehow the connection dropped.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What I'm saying is that you're always looking for something unique. All right. And whether this Ray Palmer was some kind of nut, or the truth or the falsehood of the story, is not an issue with you. All right. The issue with you is a good story.
Absolutely. Right? Let's get together and tell a good story.
And you let your listeners decide for themselves. So I just think that this would be a great future Troubled Minds show. I would certainly just love to hear this one.
Okay, you got it. I've put it in the Rolodex. It's officially there, and I promise you at some point soon we will get to this story, okay?
Okay, sir. And good night, everybody.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Robert on Rockfin. He's responsible for getting us on Rockfin. Thank you for the phone call. You can find his book, by the way. Scroll down. I put a link for his book. He's an author. Wrote a book called Stories of a Fractured Mind. Like I said, I know he gets a little miffed with me when I plug his book, because that's not why he calls. But I think it's only decent because he supports the show and has some great ideas. And, well, let's, like I said, let's all succeed together. Give Robert some love. Appreciate that phone call, my friend. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break and get back to this. Like I said, we're going to go to Robert's call and cut the break out, but then go to the break after. So we're going to take a 2-minute break here, and we'll be back with more Troubled Minds in just a moment. So let's play some music for you, and we'll do this. Let's see. Let's go here. Let's cut that. There we go. All right, so that's the deal. Thank you so much for the call, Robert. Thanks, everybody, for the information thus far. What are your thoughts on this? Do you believe that a actual Agartha sort of situation is real? The Hollow Earth is a real thing? What about the time machine? What about the Morlocks? What about the Dero and the Tiro, as Robert has described? What about all this stuff? Love to hear your thoughts, and if you have ideas or hypothesis, speculation, whatever you got. If you think it's all hocus pocus and BS, that's fine by me too. It's all good. It's all on the table. We're not trying to make a conclusion here. We're just trying to have a good conversation. So one more time, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. 2 minutes more Troubled Minds on the way. Be right back. right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we're here just talking about Hollow Earth. We're doing our thing, just hanging out, talking about these weird topics, weird ideas, drinking some maybe juice, and considering the possibilities. And amazing phone calls thus far, guys. I appreciate all the amazing input. Thank you for Robert for pointing us to a show coming up in the future, the Dero and the Tiro. And once again, please hook Robert up, and Jennifer and Austin and all the folks that called in that have channels as well. Like I said, we're not competing. We're friends, and we can succeed together. So definitely give those folks some love and go follow their channels. Links are all down below. You can find everybody in the links below. And if they have a YouTube channel, the easiest place to find them is if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of our YouTube channel. It has Friends of Troubled Minds, and you can find all the individuals down there as well. So links galore. Go give some love to the folks that contribute to the show every night, and with all the amazing ideas and amazing phone calls. So thank you so much for that. There you go. Ronald says Mike doesn't buy maybe juice. He just rents it. There you go. He just rents it. There you go. And here's actually a link from Robert in over on Rockfin. So I'm going to put this in the other chat so you guys can see what he's talking about. This is called the true story of the Shaver and Inner Earth mysteries. All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. That's what we're talking about. There we go. All right. So if you want to be part of the show, what are your thoughts on this whole Inner Earth stuff? Is it phony? Is it somewhere in between? Is there something to it? I think that's it's more compelling, right? When you try and just suspend that disbelief and consider maybe, right? That's the whole maybe juice theory here, is maybe. And so like Jennifer was describing, let's kind of think what it would be like if there was a sun in the middle of the Earth, and what if right you crawled underneath and were living inside, and so the sun was still above you, but you were living in some sort of lesser gravity type of situation, still looking up at the sun. So I don't know, interesting stuff to consider here and think about. But what are your thoughts? The topic tonight, of course, is Hollow Earth, and what happens with Hollow Earth. Is it I don't know, phony? Is it fabricated? Is it we can talk about Admiral Byrd and Operation High Jump. We can talk about Agartha if you want to get into that. All kinds of ways to kind of take this, or just your theories as usual. That's part of what's going on here, and why we do this, why we get together and discuss this this interesting stuff. I see you guys all joining the Discord there. Appreciate that. And also, if you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. Click on the Discord link at troubledminds.org. That's the official website, and it'll give you a direct invite. And there's only one rule, guys. Look, there's only one rule. Like, just be cool. Just be cool. It's okay. Like, it's okay to disagree with people and not get into like a knockdown, drag out internet fight. Like literally, that's the only rule. Like, share your ideas, and they may pique some interest in some other people, and right, that's how you get traction. And you don't get traction by screaming at people and telling them they're wrong and giving them the FU and stuff like this. So we don't get it too much of that, but literally that's the rule. Just don't be a dick. Don't be a dick. There's only one rule. Don't call into the show and try and slander somebody or do it in the chat. I mean, it's not hard. It's really not hard, right? I understand that most of the world operates on that level. We don't here. That's the whole point. We don't. We get together and talk about weird stuff, and it's sort of one of those safe spots where we're able to kind of get together and just talk. There you go. There you go. The rent's too high. Ronald says, Mike doesn't buy maybe juice, he just rents it. And Robert says, but the rent's too high. And inflation. Don't get me started on inflation. Boy, I tell you what. Robert says, why be a Dero when you can be a hero? There it is. There it is. Ronald and the jokes. Ronald and the jokes on Rockfin. If you guys haven't joined the Rockfin yet, please do. Those links are down below as well. All right, so we got more here. There's more that we can talk about, but the phone number's up. I'm going to pull up an article or two, and we'll keep on trucking with the Hollow Earth. Let's see. What do we got? So we'll get to that at some point. Thank you for that. Again, Robert, the Richard Sharp Shaver and the Shaver Mystery. And, of course, the two races, the Dero and the Tiro that live under the earth. Here we go. Now, this is called a website called exemplar.com. And we could talk about Admiral Byrd a little bit. Like I said, I did pull up his supposed diary. And like somebody said, I think Mike D for Life in the chat said earlier on, that it was proven to be, let's say, less than authentic, the Admiral Byrd diary. But we'll read some of that and see where some of this stuff comes from, right? And unfortunately, that's the world we live in. We're dealing with frauds, we're dealing with counterfeits, we're dealing with fakes, we're dealing with all this stuff, right? And it's got to make you wonder, is literally everything like this bizarre dystopia we live in all because of, some people trying to make a buck, 100 years ago or 200 years ago or, whatever. And this has all just been like a fraudulent experience. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm not so sure of that. And that's part of why I think that, especially with, like I always talk about, news cycles, information operations, and all the rest of this, that you don't think they would lean into these things and sort of make it difficult for us to discern the truth when some of this stuff should be easy, right? Easy to determine anyway. So at least, like I said, regarding the Hollow Earth and Admiral Byrd, right? So he says there was a huge gap, not just on the North Pole, but also in the South Pole. And he saw them both with his own eyes and even flew into one by his own admission, okay? And so is that real or is that not real? And I think that's the question here. So what's up, HB in the chat says, so is this subterranean theory just some sort of jive about just having food on the table? Maybe, right? And that's what I mean. I think we have to consider those things. We have to always consider we're being fooled in some capacity or another, right? Because you never know. You just never know. If you consider that, like the thing is, right, like they say, who is it? Mark Twain. Is it Mark Twain that said it's easier to fool somebody than it is to convince them they've been fooled? Because, right, the shame of being fooled, they'll dig in and stick to their guns and say, no, I believe that because I believe that. Hey, like if we let that second barrier go and just drop our pride and say, look, we're wrong. We could be wrong. And that's fine. Let's just talk about the possibilities here. Imagine what conversation would be without barriers. My God. Yeah, like without language. Imagine like on a telepathic level, it would just be, bam, like just communicate. So anyway, we're talking about Hollow Earth tonight, and again, we can get into this, the Admiral Byrd stuff. We can get into Agartha. We can get into whatever it is you guys want to talk about. As you know, open-ended, kind of non-linear. We could talk about portals. Maybe it's these ideas of Agartha and the inner Earth are not directly like you climb into a cave or a hole in the Earth. Maybe there's a portal situation where you climb into something like that, and it takes you to another place, some other place that's like, off Earth, very much like Stargate or something like that, Stargate SG-1 and those shows, Atlantis and all that, that maybe you walk through some barrier, a waterfall or something, and on the other side, it's not an actual hollow Earth, it's a different realm entirely. And so that type of stuff, right? That's the type of stuff that kind of makes my mind wander a little bit, is could this stuff be real? And so there you go. If you want to be part of the show, one more time, 702-957-1037. Do you believe Hollow Earth, or you think it's a bunch of BS, or somewhere in between? That's the scope of the conversation tonight. And let's go to, looks like we got James and Kelly. James, I'm not sure how, what's up, Kelly? Thanks for showing up. Let's go to James, then we'll go to Kelly. James, welcome to the show. How are you, my friend? I saw him waiting there, so you guys can both jump on if you want, by the way. Whatevs, it's all good. We're just talking about Hollow Earth. James and or Kelly. Testing 1 2. What's up, brother?
Hello there.
Kelly in Colorado. How you feeling, man? How are you tonight?
What's on, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Just doing what we do, hanging out, talking about weird shit. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, jumping on late tonight again, but I just wanted to pop in as the whole theory of. I just want to I kind of iterate Admiral Byrd. When he first went to the North Pole, he was just scanning. He was doing mapping for the government, for the military, right? But that's when he went into the Hollow Earth. It wasn't after, because this is the thing. When he went in there and he met the people that was down in there, and they told him they don't like us surface people up here using nuclear weapons. That's when we were dropping, like when World War One, or I meant World War II, and we dropped the bombs, right? And well, they told us they didn't like that shit. And the thing about it, that's when Admiral Byrd went back to Washington, told the president, this story. But the thing about it was, afterwards is when. You would think that if you come out of the, you're an admiral, right, of the Navy, and you come out with some crazy-ass story like that, you would think that they would throw your ass in a padded room, right? No. They give him an armada to go to the South Pole, and that's where Operation High Jump is. So this is before Operation High Jump. What that story was before, that he went into the Hollow Earth was when he went to the North Pole. And speaking of, there's some scientists that believe that not only the Earth is hollow, but all planets are hollow. And the reason for that is one of them were stating that that's why you see like the aurora borealis here on the planet Earth. Other planets have it as well, and the reason for that is because they're hollow. They have two hollow spots, one on the top and one on the bottom. Not only because of the solar flares that come in through the atmosphere, but that is the reason why that most planets, if you see that on the top and bottom of the planet, that's where they're one. I said, I don't know how many years ago, but I ran across that where, they're saying that all planets are hollow.
I like it, man. I like it. I hadn't heard that one myself. We did talk a little bit earlier about maybe the gases coming out of the top and the bottom of the planet, the poles, as it were some sort of gas that was causing that borealis. That's one of those old theories back to the 1800s. So, right, I mean, that's the thing. They say it's from the electromagnetic field and all the rest of this, and clearly, science has developed and changed, but it doesn't change the fact that we have some eyewitness accounts of people saying, specifically, again, an admiral of the Navy, for crying out loud, that says, hey, I was in an airplane and I flew over this thing and I saw it with my own damn eyes, right? And so some of those accounts, he made those statements. It wasn't just his fabricated diary. I think that may have been embellished, but he definitely was behind those statements. I think you can find him actually saying some of those things if you look hard enough.
Yeah, because when it first happened back in the day, they even actually told him to shut up about it because, because one of the things that he did see was he was talking about lush foliage, right? Like plant life and almost kind of like palm trees and shit like that when he ran across when he was in there. But yeah, I mean, I don't know about the whole sun thing. I would say that if there is an advanced civilization that's, below us, if you're going to go down, the Earth has problems mostly on the top. If you were going to be an inner dwelling, I would say that it was a sun. I would say that it would probably be like an energy power unit, kind of like what everybody wants as a free energy unit or something where it's just, because if you take nuclear power and you condense it to where it was to bring the two atoms where they collide to where the explosion happens, right? Or detonation happens. But if you can get it close enough to where, and it's virtually impossible, I wouldn't say impossible, but it's dangerous to attempt it. But if you can get it, that's where those atoms would neutralize. And I'm trying to put it in a different word, but they become stable, and then you would have free energy. But it's close to detonation. That's why it's really hard to even accomplish or even attempt. Because I'm pretty sure that's what maybe what the government was doing with the Navy and stuff out in the oceans, and those islands out there, or trying to get trying to find out if they could get to that. Back in the day, maybe that's why the whole reason for these. All these tests that the United States were doing, because we were the ones that were actually detonating all those, the most out of any nation, besides Russia. But, they had the biggest one, but we had the most. And I don't know, man, if you can have a power unit, something like that, it's just like, because if you go under a certain depth of ground, the ground and everything else is at a certain temperature. It's just the way it is. The whole theory too that when through science that when I was going through class, I don't know, man. For me, it's hard to believe that the Earth is an iron core. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that whole. Yeah, go ahead.
Liquid metal, yeah, that's what they call it, the liquid iron or whatever. Yeah, and again, right, a lot of that, it continues to change as they really don't know because we've never been that far in there. It's just they're trying to figure out how that electromagnetic field works based on, what we know about a smaller object. And you can make models and computer models and all the rest of that. Very much why I kind of don't like the climate alarmism with climate change and all that other crap. Not clearly we're changing the Earth. I keep saying that, but based on like these short of saying fraudulent, saying flawed computer models with incomplete data, you're going to get a flawed result. So I don't know, right? I think that's part of this whole thing with, I agree with you. Who knows what's in the center? Like it's a hell of a theory, and sure, science kind of backs it up, but well, we don't really know. And that's kind of not good enough, is it? It's kind of not.
It's kind of the same theory with volcanoes. The whole thing that you learn with the school, and they say it's the mantle, and with the Earth, all the things twisting and whatever, and it's colliding, the two plates or whatever, and it's causing this to, But that's actually, they don't even know why volcanoes are even around in the first place. One of the theories was too for like even earthquakes and some of the volcanoes is that like. That's one thing we were looking at with planets is our mantle. So like with Earth, they're saying that the Earth's mantle was busted up, right? And that's whole theory, that's, the science theory of it was, that's how something collided and it spun off, made the moon, whatever. But the whole reason for the earthquakes and everything else is that the mantle has been broken up. And you got, while the Earth is spinning, you'll have those, the two plates, colliding with each other and, creating this upheaval. But yeah, so unlike some of these other planets that, they're want to see, kind of like they're saying that the mantle is all solid. That's why you're not really going to have earthquakes on some of these planets.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what they say about the moon, right? They say that it's a geologically inactive. It's tidally locked, and so it's kind of like a dead thing. It's not a planet, but they say it's dead, right? But who knows? Again, right? Like until we get a drill up there, drill to the center of that MF, how the hell are we supposed to know?
Yeah, so I don't know, man. There's a few theories, so I don't know, man. I wouldn't say I agree with the whole Earth theory. I mean, I could see a possibility to have it happen because, there's many caves that we have, that a lot of these cave, explorers have been, around the world. Some of them, like there's this one that's, I believe it's in Mexico or in Vietnam, but how it even happened was it was like a cave underneath it, and the ceiling caved in, which we had all the the plant life was down in there, or was on top. And when it came down, it was inside the cave. It actually, many years ago. So now it's like there's a whole jungle. It creates like a whole atmosphere inside there and shit. So I mean, yeah, the ancients have been digging and been in caves for thousands of years, so who knows how far some of them really go down and what you might find down in there.
Yeah, and some of those old theories too, like Tartarus or Hades or things like this, right? Gateways to the underworld. Maybe they saw something, right? And so, maybe they saw something come in or out of there, and was like, "Oh shit!" Right? Don't go in there. And they wrote the story and told the stories, and who knows? I mean, that's the type of stuff when there's no technology around to kind of capture things on film or video or whatever else. I mean, even now we have all that, and we still can't get like a solid picture of a UFO. So it's like you see something crazy, you're like, "Hey guys, come check this out," and you go back and it's not there. Everybody thinks you're nuts. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. So I don't know, man. Like some of the things that I look at too is where I was going to say was like some of the ancient stories were like in South America and even in the Hopi where they said that there was some problems on the catastrophic on the surface and they were taken into the earth by these ant people. Then, they was down there for a few years or I don't know how many generations, and they came back out. In South America, they have ones where they said that, like there was a certain, like all the different races came out of a cave and it was probably, I don't know, I think it was actually kind of like 12, I think, kind of like the 12 tribes of Israel. But like it's a like they were, you know, and they came out of a cave, right? So that's a lot of stories too. I mean, Ancient Aliens have done a bunch of stuff on that, but you know, some of the stuff is kind of crazy. Where they talk about these caves and where, like Montezuma's, you know, some of that's where they think they took all the gold and stuff down into some of those caves and stuff, like underwater caves too. You know, where some of these guys would even take scuba diving gear. I mean, you know, they scuba dive underwater in these caves, like in the ground and shit, man. Now, I don't know if I could do all that, but some of the stuff they find is pretty incredible down there. So who knows, man? There's all kinds of stuff we don't even know what's under the ground, let alone in the ocean. Talk about that.
Exactly, 100%. Like that's like Joe was saying when he called in. You know, the bottom of the ocean, they evolved some amazing things. So the fact that life could be living underneath our feet doesn't really surprise too many people, does it? Have you seen Dune, by the way?
No, I haven't seen the new one. I can't wait to see that one, though, man. That looks pretty good.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. All right, speaking of things living under your feet, well, I won't give you any spoilers, but holy shit. Holy shit. That was done very well. You'll dig it. You're welcome to stay, Kelly. Let's get to James. He's been waiting a bit here, but you don't have to go. It's up to you, bro.
I'll just put it on mute for a minute.
Okay, you're welcome to hang out as long as you want. James, what's up, brother? Sorry about that. We kind of got you guys crisscross applesauce as everybody was coming on. Welcome to the show, James Salcedo. What's going on, my brother?
Oh no, happy to be here. You know, I apparently my mic got muted at some point when I was doing stuff, and so I was pressing the button and nothing was working. So
nice. That
was fun. But yeah.
Welcome to my life. Always pushing the wrong button. Like, oh damn, this was working yesterday. What the hell happened? Yeah. Well.
Yeah. You change one setting somewhere and then everything else gets messed up.
Especially when you didn't know you did it. That's the worst. Now you got to go track down the whole chain of shit all the way back through and back around. And anyway, we're boring people. What do you think about Hollow Earth, my man?
The thing that I keep coming back to in all this is I've heard... You know how you hear people that talk about energy and how energy moves through them, and you're supposed to ground. You're supposed to let energy go through you to the ground. I've heard that it's supposed to be like your negative energy. You're supposed to let that go into the ground. It makes you wonder, how far down does it go, and is there a connection to all those ideas and thoughts about energy flowing from the top of a person out through the bottom, or vice versa? But in this case, we'll just go with the energy that goes down to the earth. I just wonder about all that, and just energy in general. What is it all? If there's some other race down there, would they be aware of that energy, and what would they be able to do with it?
That's a fantastic idea. So consider ourselves, and I'll take the analogy just a step further, as lightning rods. Like we've described having your bare feet in nature as a grounding process of sorts. And that's what you're describing. And maybe it's because there's something to do with something happening underneath, maybe geomagnetically or whatever's going on. And I agree with you. If there's some sort of grounding process happening, what does that look like below us? But then also, if we're sort of that lightning rod, and I like the idea of it coming from our brain and going up above as well. Like we're kind of caught in that those electromagnetic fields. That, again, by the way, we just talked about this on the news show just a couple of days ago. I think it was Friday. That there's they found this electromagnetic field, this tunnel that encompasses the Earth on both sides and stretches for light years, like it's part of that whole system, right? So if think of it as individuals, if we're that lightning rod and that energy is maybe tracing through our feet and also up through our head, and we're sort of in between like a battery with two connections, the Earth is the same way, it seems like, because they have on both ends of this thing a magnetic field just shooting out into space for literally, like, I think they said like 1,000 light years in both directions. I like the idea, man. I like the idea of us being sort of in the middle of that, maybe. And what does it look like when you go down to the middle of the Earth? I don't know. Any ideas on that?
Not really. I would just, that's the thing. It's hard to, we just don't know. Like you and Kelly were talking about, the models, there's models of how people say that they think it is, but then they don't know, and I just wonder. I mean, you would think if these two, I guess they'd be like giant pits. You would think that if they couldn't go down too far without the planet being unstable in some way. I mean, so are they really that deep? Because I feel like if they were that deep, wouldn't there be some kind of a danger of, like a structural danger for the entire planet?
Yeah, well, exactly. It depends on exactly how it's set up. Like that one of those early theories, the 1800s sort of situation. They were talking about concentric globes within each other, right? And so, like, we're the outside, but then there's one slightly smaller inside, and then smaller than that. And so, yeah, I mean, I guess it just depends on how it's all set up. And like Kelly was saying too, so like volcanoes and all the rest of this stuff, and like Joe was saying, like pockets of oil and, you know, carbon kind of embedded in, maybe in between those layers as you go down, if it's sort of like a layer type situation. Who knows? Again, who knows, right? Like, we've only drilled down so far, and it's so minuscule compared to how deep we could go. So, yeah, I don't know. I do like the idea of maybe another sun being in the middle of the Earth. That's a pretty hot idea. Well, what can you do?
I mean, that's another energy source that's supposed to last for how many millions of years, usually? So
billions, even billions.
Billions, yeah.
Yeah.
So who knows? I don't know. I do agree that there'd have to be some. I would love to know how that would work, having a sun within a planet. Like, that's just. I don't know much about science, so I have no idea how that would. I don't even know how things work outside of the planet. So I'm just thinking about that is really interesting.
Damn it, James! I want answers. I want the truth.
I know nothing. I always say that.
Fair enough. All right. Speak no evil. Fair enough. Okay, so the thing is, though, the thing with this is it is fun to think about. Like, and you got to consider, if there was like an actual like maybe underground thing going on with a hollow Earth, and maybe there was a civilization being there, they would be in danger, right? If they tried to contact us, because we would be all freaked out, wouldn't we? We would be like, we would consider them aliens, or even though they'd be natives, and maybe even like the true natives of this planet, who knows? We would still be like super hostile because, well, human's gonna human, right? Shoot first and ask questions later.
Yeah, and I mean, I do wonder again about all those whatever is supposedly in the Earth. There are stories about things coming out of the Earth. I mean, and there's stories about modern cryptids going into it. It's so hard to know, and I just then there's people disappearing at different places, and so with everything else, I think the connections to everything are always interesting. But yeah, and again with the whole Admiral Byrd thing, that's a fascinating thing. I didn't know that he had been basically like committed to was he committed to an asylum, you said? Or someone said?
I'm not sure of that. I think that was one of our first callers tonight. I don't know. I don't know if that was the case. But let's see. Did you know about that, Kelly? Was he actually committed?
Yeah. Oh, I said that. What I said is that you would think that they would throw him in a padded room after he came out of the hollow Earth with stories like that. But no, they didn't do that. What they did is they gave him an armada and, sent him down south to Operation High Jump.
Oh, I see.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I missed that part. But yeah, I mean, I heard it, but I didn't process it right. But yeah, no, that does make sense. And, but then, yeah, I mean, because if you put him away like that, then that could, I guess it wouldn't maybe arouse suspicion right away, but it would eventually, I would think, too. So, but that is interesting that even instead of just having him retire or whatever, or basically become less prominent, they did that. They sent him on another mission. That's really interesting.
Yeah, there's another tie-in here too regarding cover-ups and whatnot. I just saw this doing just a quick search on was Admiral Byrd insane, right? Let's just type that in. Look at the crazy stuff you get. But you guys remember the name James Forrestal? He was the very first.
Yes.
He was the very first Secretary of Defense. and he supposedly went insane and committed suicide, jumped out of a window in a hospital. But they have so his name came up because, of course, they have a photograph here of him shaking hands with none other than, you guessed it, Admiral Byrd. The Admirable Admiral Byrd. Yes, interesting. I'll link this if you guys haven't seen this, but yeah, James Forstall. That's an interesting tale too that kind of fits into the whole Roswell thing, and now, of course, Operation High Jump, and what kind of cover-ups are actually being perpetrated, right? I think that's what makes people suspicious, right? Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, definitely. I've heard about that just from different UFO shows over the years. That's definitely a name that pops up.
Yeah, I think he was the... I'll check that real quick. That was just from memory. My memory seems to conflate things sometimes. That's why I like to double check. But I think he was actually the very first Secretary of Defense. I'll just verify that real fast. But have you heard of that guy, right, Kelly? James Forstall?
Oh, yeah, he's Major Navy. They got ships named after him. He was Forstall was he was like... he had to do with a lot of military things on the ocean and stuff, but yeah, he was. The thing about Forstall too was what's interesting to me was, yeah, that whole story that's saying he went crazy, which is a lie, because he was actually part of an early UFO project or some shit like that, and he wanted to come out and tell the public, and they threw his ass. They put his ass in the hospital, and then they threw his ass out the fucking window. Yeah, they killed his ass. That was not... I mean, because, like, they showed, like, when they did an investigation, there's, like, claw marks where he was, trying to, pull himself back inside. Yeah, they threw his ass out the window. They killed him.
Yeah, and so double checking, my memory serves correct. He was the first United States Secretary of Defense. That was September 17th, 1947 to March 28th, 1949. So, yeah, interesting. I didn't expect to bring him up into this conversation, but I did search Admiral Byrd insane, and look what comes up. James Forstall. Wouldn't you know it? Shaking hands together in a photograph. Weird. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so we got Tam Bam on the line here. We got Austin as well. Let's go. We had Austin already, so let's go to Tam Bam. Hang tight, Austin. We'll get with you in just a sec. Let's go to Tam. Let's see if we can get Tam Bam onto the show properly this time, without bouncing back and forth. Tam, let's work this out. Are you there? Test 1 2. All right, let's try this again. Test 1 2. Tam Bam. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hello. Well, I'd like to know what you believe about the Hollow Earth. How are you this evening or this morning?
I'm good, thanks. Good. No complaints.
Right on.
Okay.
Welcome to Solid Minds. You got Kelly, James, and myself here.
All the best players. Cool.
There you go.
I love Hollow Earth theory. I really, really do. I think it's fascinating. I should be studying it or researching it a lot more, but over the years, life. But from what I know and what I've researched is that it's not just one person or a few people or whatever. There's a few hundreds and or even thousands of people who really do believe that this is true, because there's so much information regarding Hollow Earth. And one of the stories I was actually reading the other day was, about these two kids who their skin color was green, and they came. I think they came from out of nowhere into the small village, and it was a little boy and a little girl, and the little boy died because he got sick, and they spoke some like weird, an unrecognizable language. So there's two theories for that. So either they're little aliens who, I don't know, got teleported from their planet or whatever the case is, or they could be from inner Earth. Now, like I said, so from my research, I know that there's different areas that are protected, different entrances to inner Earth. And one of them is in Tibet, where the monks are. And that is pretty much why it's so secluded and so protected there, because they're protecting the entrance to Hollow Earth. Now, obviously, the two ones are North and South Pole. Admiral Byrd, like you said earlier, I mean, I mean, I haven't been listening to the whole show, but his is a very well-known, documented account. And another entrance is in the Grand Canyon. So there's a story about this guy who went trailing around the Grand Canyon, and he actually got lost, separated from his group or something like that. And he found this weird entrance. And so he walked in and into this cavernous place, and he stumbled across a smaller, I think it's a smaller cave, and he climbed through and he met these inner earth beings, but it wasn't too far in. So, and then he spent what he said is about 2 days with them, and he fell in love with one of the natives there. And he said to him, apparently he said to them and her, I have to go finish my life, because she invited him to come and live with her in inner earth. And he said, well, I have to go finish off my life and close some chapters and just make sure, I can come back and no one will worry about me. And so he left. And when he came back a few days later, the cabin was gone. He looked at the location, he tracked the GPS, he did his whole thing, but he couldn't find the entrance. And he waited there for days and days, and he couldn't find this entrance. And he never heard from them again. So it could also be a mysterious, magical thing. Taking from his story that the entrances might change as well. So there's another entrance. Sorry?
So it's not a physical entrance. It's like we were describing a little bit previously, it could be a portal type entrance. Like these things kind of open and close at different times or whatever, right? Or maybe you need to do something to bring them about. Like we were talking about that not just before you showed up, even that the Earth has these funnels, these electromagnetic funnels that stretch light years out into space, surrounding the Earth itself from 2 points. So like almost like you would expect a portal system to be, right? So interesting. Anyway, Go right ahead.
No, that's definitely, true. And it does sound far-fetched, but so does aliens, and so does demons and things like that. When you have a personal encounter, that person shares a story, you kind of have to gather that there's some sort of truth to it. So then apparently when you go to Inner Earth, this is now another documented thing. This is when I don't know how much you read of Admiral Byrd, but when he flew in, there's an actual map. And one of where he landed, what I think, if I'm correct, he landed in Agartha.
Agartha, yep.
Yeah. So, and, I don't know, he described, I think, or someone described how these beings actually live and how they eat. So they don't eat like we eat every day to survive or whatever. They work on their chakras, if anything, are opposite to ours. So their the way they feed is through, it's more of a mental thing. And they communicate telepathically, and they're not very sexual beings. They're more, it's more intimate than that. It's not such a physical, if I can say, violent act. And the babies take a lot longer to develop and to grow and to be born. How much of that is true, I don't really know. But it does, when it must be a bit different, because the pressure must be a lot different compared to Inner Earth. And then I researched how would volcanoes and all these things work, and magma and underground tunnels work with Inner Earth. And it was kind of a story of, well, if there's an Inner Earth sun, it would make sense if you get an outer sun and an Inner Earth sun that would form kind of a barrier of where two ends of magnificent heat would melt rock or melt whatever, and that would cause a surface level volcano. And no one's been to the core of the Earth, so what can we really, really say what is down there? So there has to be some kind of truth to the theory, because people don't actually have the mental capacity to make up anything from fresh air. It's always, a broken...
I can make up some ridiculous shit.
Okay, fair enough. But it has always stemmed from something. So
Right, well,
if you think of
basis and some reality, exactly. Yeah, I got you.
So it's very difficult to invent something that's out of the ordinary that no one has ever thought of, because it always stems from a small idea or a pinprick of an idea that you can venture off into that tangent. So why would someone come up with inner Earth if there wasn't like a big fat hole in North Pole, South Pole?
Yeah, well,
and Admiral Byrd saw it.
If they say that, exactly, if they say they saw it with their own eyes, so we can get to that. Like the actual account of Admiral Byrd is supposedly his diary. If you guys haven't read it, I'm going to link it here.
Yes.
But it is unclear if this has been fabricated. I think it's part of the problem with this, and part of why we talk about this the way we do is because you can never know, right? If you've been fooled. But a lot of the things you're saying, I think, are from his diary. And so I don't know what to think. I don't know if it can be traced back to him or if, very much like last night, I don't know if you caught the Halloween show, and if you didn't, it's okay. There was an actual, wrote a supposedly channeling Mark Twain on a Ouija board after he passed away.
Oh, yes.
And we're writing like a novel through Mark Twain from the other ether or whatever, and then selling it under the name Mark Twain. You know what I'm saying? So it's like sort of those situations. There are people that are like that. I'm not saying it isn't Mark Twain, but I'm saying probably it isn't Mark Twain. Right? You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
right.
And then Jay's sorry, carry on.
No, go ahead.
And then Jay said it would take you a hell of a long time to write a book from using a Ouija board. I mean, who's got that time?
Yeah, no, exactly. And the carpal tunnel. Imagine you have to get letter by letter. Holy shit! To write a novel, my goodness, my elbows ache just thinking about it. Yeah, it seems unlikely. Let's say it seems unlikely.
Yeah,
but
pretty
anyways,
much. It's,
point being, there's people out there that would trick us. That's my point. So we can't be.
It is.
Yeah, and you're in the right place for that. I just have to point it out from time to time.
No, for sure.
People think I'm insane.
I get that often. It's okay. So it really is, and it also could be stemmed from a broken telephone situation. You never know what the initial person saw or heard or whatever, and you don't know if that person was high on drugs or there's altitude sickness or whatever the case is from Admiral Byrd. You just don't know what happened at that time. So, but I do know hearsay that Admiral Byrd did come back fighting UFOs along with a platoon of fighter jets. So. And there's theories running around that Hitler escaped and went to, because he discovered, also with all his research, because that was his main, goal, was to find all ancient artifacts and all these things to build sources, whatever. And he found information leading to inner Earth. And that's, a lot of people say that's where he escaped to. He escaped to Antarctica, and he is living in a cave with inner Earth people or whatever, with how many of his cronies.
Yeah,
that's another theory.
Yes, and that's interesting too. That with flat, I keep wanting to say flat. With Hollow Earth, there's a ton of theories here. There's a ton of things, like even going back, right? Like ancient civilization's been there for a long ass time. I don't know. What do you guys got for Tam, Kelly, or James?
If I can jump in here, that's really interesting about the beings that are under the ground. They're taking in energy instead of eating. It kind of gets back to what I was saying earlier about how there are so many in philosophies and practices and things, how we're supposed to ground ourselves and send energy down to the ground. Again, where does that energy go to? That was the first thing. And also, I love the idea of it makes sense in a way that if there's some kind of a inner sun, what if the volcanoes, that's just some of that sun's excess whatever coming up through the earth?
Yeah, well, exactly. So it's, it just lends to the theory that there's something. And I choose, for me, I probably in my lifetime will never go to Mars or the moon or whatever. So, and I can't live on an earth where it's just earth. You live, you sleep, you eat, you die, and work. So I choose to believe in my supernatural and that is Hollow Earth. And knowing me, when I retire, I'm probably going to make my way to a cave and try to find it. If I'm going to die, I'm going to die. At least I live.
Whoa! Let's not talk about dying. Come on now, you're bringing me down, Tam. I'm just kidding. I
died on a quest.
I like your conviction. Like you're going to find it, hell or high water, right? I like it.
A girl has to hope,
Yeah, why not, right? And we got to have something to look forward to for sure. So yeah, I don't know.
Exactly.
So you do think there's something to these flat Earth? Sorry, I keep saying hollow Earth theories. It's so on my mind, right? Flat Earth, flat Earth, flat Earth, flat Earth. It's always like that weight on the back of my neck. Like, are you going to talk about flat Earth, Mike? I don't know. But anyway.
Hey, Mike, have you heard of flat Earth?
Hollow Earth. That's what we're talking about tonight. It's that Freudian slip. I just keep saying it. Anyway, we'll get into that another time. We'll get into that at a completely other time. I'm just working up to it. But okay, so I guess all of us agree that it seems possible. It seems like this is plausible that there's something going on below our feet. And as you know, clearly we can't drill deep enough to really verify any of those things. But I mean, there are some stories. There's some stories that go back a long way, not just to the point of Admiral Byrd in 1947, but we're talking about thousands of years. We're talking about mythology and these caves or whatever that go down to the portal to the actual underworld sort of situation. So I don't know. We're getting down to the end here. So let's get some final thoughts and we'll get Austin in here and finish the sucker up. Who wants to begin?
Well, I just want to with Tam, that story that was the children of Woolpit, those green children, and now that you were talking about it, they were saying that I know the little boy died, but the little girl, they explained that they were Middle Earth. I guess they were following sheep into a cave, and then they came out our side, and they look green. But you would think that if you're not getting a lot of sun or something, you would of course your skin would change, maybe have a different color or even pale looking or something. But yeah, I actually, now that you said that, Tam, I was thinking about this. I had to search for one of my favorites on YouTube, but it was it's a guy. He does these interviews, right? And he's a pathologist, but he's talking with a guy. His name is Colonel Woodrow, I think it is. I posted on Facebook or on Discord. It's about an hour and some long. And yes, he was claiming that there is other places that go into Middle Earth. And one of them was in, I want to go to is actually, it's Washington State. It's at Mount Rainier at one of the foothills. He says, he was explaining, if you watch the video, he'll explain it, but you go to the base of it to where this area is at, and you can't see the entrance. It just looks like the side of the mountain. And I'd have to look in my notes, but I have a ton of notes, man. But anyway, you chant this thing. You have a saying that you say, and you have to say it like 7 times. And then it says, then the final thing is something like a place to Hollow Earth. And that wall or whatever that you can't see opens up, and I don't know if you would call it a, looks like a side of the wall, like a fake gram, like green screen or something. But yeah, it opens up and you're supposed to go on there. The guy is pretty trippy because he's a real tall guy, long blonde hair, and he almost has the same story as this story, as the kids of Woolpit, because he talks about that he was, him and his sister came here on the surface of the earth, right? And he went into the military. His sister went into the military, and yeah, that's why he's a colonel. He ended up being retired as a colonel, but the interview is, like I said, it's about an hour and a half long, but it's pretty interesting. And yeah, there's different places that he says that are on planet Earth that you can get into. Yeah,
interesting. If you have a link to that. I'd love to see it. Can you share that? You said you do have it?
Yeah, I actually posted it in Discord in the general.
Okay, gotcha. All right, thank you. Already on it. Already ahead of me. Ahead of the game. I appreciate it, Kelly. Great stuff as always.
Yeah.
That's super exciting.
Other than that, I kind of agree with her too, because it was, like I was talking earlier, that man, there's just many stories of, like I said, I'm the ancient guy, so I look at stuff, and there's all kinds of stories like that they went underground. I mean, look at they could hold 2,000 cattle, all kinds of shit. It's like they were living there for, they planned on living there for a very. It's interesting, man.
Agreed, 100%. That's why we talk about this shit. Kelly, you're in the right place. All right, Tam, you're up, and we'll go to James, and then we'll get Austin in here, and it looks like we got one more call as well. You're on the spot today.
Okay, so
you hate this part, but you're good at it.
I hate this. Okay, so the inner Earth people, they say, are very peaceful, very loving, very good people, but I think that was just an Agarth. So obviously they say there's different continents to inner Earth as well, with the oceans that are there as well. So the one thing that I know sounds weird, but the one thing I always tell my kid, you explore the world, go and do what you have to do, but never go in a cave. Because, we know I think what's down there as well is other species who are not kind, who are not nice, and you don't know what's actually down there in true spirit. So, stay out the caves. Don't go underground.
Don't do it. All right. Don't go underground. I'm with you. Make sure you have a expedition team and a camera crew.
Buddy.
And then you got to find the aliens. All right. Fantastic. Great stuff. Thanks, Tam, for the phone call. Everybody follow Tam Bam. You can actually scroll down both on Rockfin and on YouTube. She's got her Instagram link there. Follow Tam. She's doing amazing things, and a YouTube channel may be on the way. Thanks, Tam. You're the best.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Pleasure's ours. James.
Okay.
Yeah, I just think it comes down to always be open to possibilities, always be learning things whenever you can, but always be careful.
Be careful. Don't go into the cave. Stay away from the cave. All right, let's go to the phone call, and then we'll get Austin on here, and we'll finish this sucker up. Looks like we got HB. HB, man, welcome back to the show. What's going on, man? I think you are a fan of Hollow Earth, and I dig it.
A fan?
A fan?
Well, I'm definitely a follower. Of everybody who has anything to say about Hollow Earth, because it might be the most exciting topic to grace, Western. I would have to say this is a mostly Western scientific topic. I don't hear much about Hollow Earth in the Eastern scientific topic or pseudoscientific topics, but I would have to say it's so exciting that it's like it triggers something in me that I almost feel certain that they have to be right. There really must actually be some sort of hallowed thing happening to this earth, even though I have no reason to believe. I have no reason. There's not sufficient evidence to lead me to believe that we have a big old hollow space in the planet. But then again, you're talking to a guy. I believe that the moon is hollow. You can't convince me it isn't. It's simply out of question.
HB.
The moon is hollow.
HB. The moon is not hollow. It's Swiss cheese, brother. Come on, man. Let's get this.
No, that's nonsense. That's a different kind of cheese, and it is hollow. And stop. You're wrong.
All right. Fair enough. I concede. Okay. This time. I concede.
I'm going to let you go. This is a great topic. I'm glad you had all of these opinions out here tonight, and I hope that they find many more opportunities to lend their opinions again.
Absolutely. Thank you. God willing, we got tomorrow. You're the best, HB. Thanks for participating. Thanks for all the great calls. There you go. All right. Let's get Austin in here and let's roll this sucker out. So let's finish. What's up, guys? How is everybody? I hope everybody finds yourselves well on Monday night. And yeah, so expect Troubled Minds news tomorrow at this normal time, 3 p.m. I'm going to try and get the same thing going. We had an internet issue today, so there you go. We'll just bump it to Tuesday, and then tomorrow will be the long day. But what's up? What's up, Austin? Welcome back if you're there. Okay, I think we got that Discord ghost thing happening. Okay, all right. So let's wrap it up. What do you guys think? What are your anything else you want to add to this before we finish this sucker out? You guys, I know I already asked you, but I'm about to play some music and plug some things and do the things and all the things. But you're still here, so anything else? Anybody else? Anything else you'd like to hear in future shows? How about that? We had a great one from Robert suggesting that the story of. I have it here. I can't remember exactly because my brain works in short doses, if you know what I mean. But anything else? Anybody out there? Test 1, 2.
Yeah, man, I'm here. I'm still here with you, Mike. But I don't know. Some of these theories are pretty. It's like James was saying. You find some of these weird cryptics. They come and going, just like a lot of. It almost kind of reminds me of like science claims that all these animals are extinct, and then 30 years later. Oh, look, lo and behold, we found a bird that, said it was extinct or an animal. I've always posted that stuff on Discord, too, because it seems to be happening a lot. You know what I mean? Like, supposedly extinct, and some of these things were gone for, quite some time, not just, a couple of years. And next, they're finding, a bunch of these animals, or having sightings of them. So who knows where these things are coming and going, The portals are just kind of like the kids, like we talked earlier, the kids of Woolpit. I mean, Admiral Byrd, you have all the stories, the Middle East Hopi tribe, and, with the Ant people, you have the South American stories of, in Peru and, Aztec and Mayan. They have, all the underground. And then you have Egypt, too, with, like, Anubis with the underground, or it's not really, I don't know if they would say, a lot of people would try to say that it would, claim hell or whatnot, or they call it the underworld, though, so it's not really, they're not saying it's hell, but. Well, one last thing, too, was, their deepest drill hole is in Russia.
Yes.
And I believe it was, I don't know, because they go by meters, 4 miles deep. And I believe they stuck a microphone down there, and they claim to hear people screaming or whatnot, but I don't know. I heard the recording, and it kind of just sounded, it could be, but then it could not be. Other than that, man, it's always a possibility of what on the show, so always keep an open mind, man. You guys take care out there.
Amen, brother. You too. That's Kelly in Colorado. Longtime friend of the show. Appreciate it, my friend. James Salcedo Paranormal. Let's get the hell out of here, my friend. You got some outros for us? You want to spit some hot fire as we roll this? Everybody follow Salcedo Paranormal on Podbean. You can find the links down below, both on Rockfin and on YouTube. Just scroll down, says follow James. There it is. Follow James. Give him some love. He does a paranormal podcast 3 times a week. And let's get the hell out of here, my friend. Let's do it. I'm going to play some music. You're up. No pressure.
I think... no pressure. Yeah, no, I think the disappearing and appearing people and other creatures, to me, that's the most interesting thing in a way. Because where are they coming and going from?
Yeah, exactly. Is it portals? Is it caves? Is it whatever the hell's going on, right? Same thing like Skinwalker Ranch. Like that topic keeps coming up, right? Like the UFOs and the Skinwalkers and the ghost wolves and all kinds of whack shit going on over there. What is that? Is that a dimensional portal? Is there some sort of like hidden cave there that kind of opens and closes? Who the hell knows? Who the hell knows? James, you're the best. Everybody give James a follow. We did a podcast yesterday if you want to check that out. He had more of a sort of he interviewed me situation. So if you're interested in more of that format, want to know more about that, go check out James's show, Salcedo Paranormal, and you can find the links right down below. Thank you, James. You're the best. I appreciate you as always. Thanks for spending your time with us. Thanks for listening. Thanks for the great calls.
Thank you.
All right, now we finish. All right, so God, the bad news is we're done for tonight. The good news is, God willing, we got tomorrow. So we'll be back tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Pacific with more Troubled Minds, and we're going to keep on trucking, talking about weird shit. And if you guys are into it and want to hear about this, that, or the other thing, we take show submissions. Just send it over to me if you want to be on the show. You guys are all invited. You guys know the drill. Just please contact me on Discord, troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. You can reach me at troubledmindsradio@gmail.com. And there you go. Just send me some good stuff, and we'll talk about it, and we'll get you on the show. Or just get your stories, get your ideas for a show in the future. So there it is. As we finish, you know the drill. As we do our thing, finish out before the howls, it goes like this. What's up, Mboli? I see you there. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks, Zen Wen. How you doing? I see you guys. What's up, Night Stalker? Hope you got a nice nap. Welcome, my man. What's up, Lily? I see you there. Great chat, as always. Appreciate you guys. Here's the thing. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night. That's for Night Stalker. Have a good one, guys.